All right. How you guys? This is Jay Burnham with the Seven Figure Moving Academy. Today I am with Tony E., the owner of 87 Movers in Lost Wages. He is in the thing. He's a good guy. He's been with the Seven Figure Moving Academy for quite some time now. And he runs a very successful moving company. At least that's what I'm telling myself in Las Vegas. Um, I thought, he's been a long time member of the Seven Figure Maverick. I'd like to interview him. So today we have Tony E. Tony, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hey Jay, it's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for inviting me out for this podcast. And I don't consider myself very successful yet, but we're gonna get to a seven-figure company. That's gonna be within the next few years, and within 2028, we're gonna expand over to Reno, Nevada. That's where my hometown is. We are a Nevada-based moving company, and we're gonna be the best movers on social media in Nevada. Currently, we're in Las Vegas. We got a couple trucks, 8 great guys. My fiance is the other partner of mine, which were born in 1987, hence the name 87 Movers, and it's our birth year. It's also our office hours, and the colors are blue and silver, just like the Nevada Wolfpack. And also, one more reason is 8 is lucky number in our Chinese culture, and 7 is lucky for Christians. And we're celebrating our background, and we're also celebrating being Americans as well.
Well, I love that story. Yeah, I graduated high school in 1988, so I love the 88 number for it resonates with me for some reason. So, and I got the 7 in the Seven Figure Moving Academy. So there you go.
Yeah, well, eight's a very lucky number in Chinese. It actually looks like the infinity symbol, so it's a very prosperous number.
Right.
But I know it doesn't roll off the tongue as good as or as well as 87, though,
No, I can't. Movers 88. Yeah, I don't know.
huh? Yeah.
But all right, I want to just get right into it. You know, um, I just want to talk to you a little bit right to start off with this is a little bit about your background and your personal journey and so on. And I have to use this old like bifocal type method. So pardon me. Um, let's talk about some of your early influences. What inspired you to start a moving company?
Man, I didn't go to college to become a mover. I don't think anyone does. It's a business where it's blue collar. You use your hands, and you're also using your brain. It's a puzzle for my movers. It's a logistical challenge and a puzzle for us that bring out the movers to the move itself. So Kathy's the most important person because she's the one that organizes it and does the books, and then the second most important person is my guys who are figuring out how to do this stuff. So I gotta give props to them. But we were in white collar industries. Like I was banking and she was an accountant. That was our background. And when I had gotten fired from the bank at Barclay card, I decided, you know what, this has been great. I'm able to afford my mortgage. I only work 40 hours a week, get Saturday and Sunday off. But I don't think I should have got my degree. It was a waste of time. And I appreciate everyone else that has worked hard for the education, no doubt about it. I just don't think I made the right decision doing that. So when I worked at a warehouse, when I did logistics and I was helping with putting semis and putting straight trucks, and then learning about it's not just pick something up and drop it back down. You deal with in that people, you face challenges to help make the company money. And after I got fired from that, I was like, well, I guess I can't work for somebody anymore. What am I going to do? Looked at my Dwight Clark jersey, who, by the way, is number 87 on the 49ers. And I was like, what the hell do I do now? Am I going to do landscaping? I'm going to be a cleaner because I was teaching disabled men and women over at this charity called Opportunity Village how to be janitors. And that's in addition to my tasks of dispatching trucks of semis and straight trucks, and then for shipments all the way from overseas. So that was great. I loved charity there. I didn't have a I didn't have a very good culture, so that's why in my company, um, I want to establish the culture that I missed out on. I want to take some of the favorite things of some past leaders that I've had. So this way, uh, men and women, because we hired women before too, get rewarded for good behavior, but get consequences for bad behavior. That's the way my dad taught me.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, I never got those experiences where people who did bad behaviors were facing consequences. It was always the opposite way around, where you get promoted, and that doesn't happen in my company.
Yeah, we had a saying when I was in the military: "F up, move up." So,
Oh man, I've never heard that before. I also heard rank has its privileges though too, huh?
yeah, yeah, there's that, but yeah, for in the enlisted guys, it was the idea that if you effed up, you tended to get promoted, and and the guys who were like rock hard and did the stuff, they were always the ones who are like getting crapped on and so on and so forth. It just, I mean, it's not true, but that was the impression and the perception
You know,
of the enlisted
I
guys.
feel like you're not wrong, Jay, because the last company I worked at, the guy who flipped over his truck when we told him, was like, "Come on, man. Yeah, I read in here that you're supposed to go ahead and offset the load where heavy stuff, light stuff, and then you're gonna go and zigzag it." But all the heavy stuff was on some one side, and he got Employee of the Year out of the 1,100 people that works there.
Yeah,
I was like, am I taking crazy pills right now? I didn't understand.
yeah. Some people just don't have common sense, but it is what it is. But thank you for
and
that.
also led to a and also led to a Employee of the Year, and he went to Aruba. So
Oh, he flips the truck because he can't load a truck, and he gets employee there and goes through. Nice,
yeah, isn't that crazy?
nice. All right, let's talk now a little bit some about the initial steps. Can you walk us through some of the first steps you took in establishing 87 movers, or movers 87 rather?
Yeah. So you can call us 87 movers or movers 87, but the very first step happens to do with how does the uh, um, how does the booking process work? It starts with a phone call. How do we answer the phone? How do we perform the job? How do we check for satisfaction? And how do we account for it all?
Yeah,
And and
that's good. And that's going to be a
yep.
later answer to a later question. But what I'm looking for is more
Okay.
what
Oh,
it
I
took
see.
to start the business.
Oh, it took credit card debt. It also took me quitting my second job, because I told myself, hey, I'm gonna do the right thing. Now that I'm fired from this job I really love with blue collar people, I took on a job I haven't done before for years, becoming a server. So I took some humble pie and worked for 20 hours for becoming a server again. I
Mhm,
was working at a Japanese restaurant, and I was like, man, this is hard work, but I like being able to be a little bit more free, but I had to give my 2 weeks notice, and I told him, I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna start my own business. I don't have a plan B. It's burn your ships, and that's where I don't have any backup plans. This has to succeed." And I tell myself that every single day, that there is no backup plans. We don't have any side hustles. This is all we do. This is our livelihood.
mhm. Okay, so when you started your thing, now you're a labor only and not a full service company, correct?
Actually, no, we're full service now, but labor only happens to do with 70% of what we do.
Okay, so when you started the business, what was the first thing that you did? Did you have to do some research? Were you already on a moving crew and kind of had the idea? And it's like, what was the first step that it took for you to start the business?
Actually, I ran into your videos. I ran into Louis Massaro's videos. It and then I also looked at what movers actually do, because our family never hired movers, but I was told that I'm a really good help with my friends and family, and I enjoy the work. I had to think about, okay, would I really want to get down and do weeds? No, I actually don't want to do that. And in any case that I need to get on the job, I at least want to enjoy it. And that's the first thing I had to decide. What am I going to do? I had to learn. I was like, is this going to be profitable? Because I am no longer doing any of my tasks while still maintaining mortgage, and that's kind of scary because the bank could take my house away,
Right.
right? And And then I put myself into credit card debt because I have 100% faith in myself. And the best part is that Kathy, who's my fiance, she said, "Yes, I know you can do it." So she believes in me, and that really helps. If you don't have a partner to do this with, it's really, really hard. And she believes in me so much that 1 year later, she quit her job as an accountant and she joined on me full time. And that was back in 2021. So
Mhm.
fast forward now to 2023 because we started on January 22nd, 2020.
Oh, nice. Okay, good. So you got the idea. Okay, good. So what was the
Yeah.
first thing you did? Did you go and get yourself? You obviously you came up with a name, but did you go and get a website? Did you just start putting ads in the
Oh, okay.
paper?
Yeah, no website first. Our website was really, really bad. I tried it myself from Squarespace. And then I joined the Seven Figure Moving Academy in February. And then I got involved in asking questions. In fact, I still ask questions now. I'm kind of an annoying person where I'm always asking questions. But I'm very humble. Even when I will know everything, I will always still ask questions. And 9 out of 10 of the times that I'm on forum, I'm gonna get answers that I like. And then I will listen to everybody, but I'm gonna take the best advice. That's the way I approach also with my guys. My guys actually aren't used to getting asked for advice, but I think it empowers them because they know that I'm listening and I'm taking the best advice,
Right,
and we're gonna talk about it. And that's something that they weren't doing before. And I hate having an invisible voice when I work for other people.
right. So what was the advertising you did to start
Oh,
getting your name out
Craigslist,
there?
man. I you have no idea. I met my first three power partners on Craigslist. That was Martin, the pods company called Units Moving and Storage. It's a franchise kind of like Pods and Pack Rats.
Hmm.
So I met him like 8 months in. Um I met Sirius Productions. That guy owns a drone company. His name is Michael Cerderios, and I couldn't afford his services back then, but I'm really glad he became our customer like 3 years later. And
Hmm.
I met another part partner that was junk removal company, um and and then I met another junk removal company after that. That's Junk Monkeys, and that's also uh, shout out to junk luggers. Um, I don't offer any junk services. I only do moving. And
Hmm.
because we only do moving services, I only focus 100% into moving. That's why we don't branch out into junk removal or ancillary services like plumber or handyman or anything.
No, that's no, I mean that's kind of good
We
because
also don't do storage yet either. But
okay,
I don't have any desire to get into it because I want to be the best mover we can, and then we can expand into Reno doing what we do over there in my
right.
hometown.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, building up relationships with other companies, especially companies that are adjacent to moving, is very good because if
Hmm.
you create a partnership, you could say, "Look, I got this guy. He's got a lot of junk. He needs to get a lot of junk." You go over to these junk monkey guys, say, "Hey, good," and then you know maybe they give you a little. Maybe you worked out a little commission deal, right? And vice versa. Maybe they're doing a thing
Oh,
where they
actually, about that, we we thought about giving each other money for leads, and now it's not. It's just based off of reciprocity,
okay.
and now we don't keep score. It's just that even though Martin gives me two leads to the one that I give him, I'm able to introduce him over to relationships that don't really um, transcend into moving, but at least they need storage from him. And we also meet at networking events as well because I had to I had to find a whole new network of people because if your
Mhm.
network is your net worth, then we all wholeheartedly believe it. And I'm only going with ambitious people. I don't mess around with average thinkers that are only okay making $30,000 a year like the average realtor.
Exactly. Yeah. All right. So let's talk about some challenges that you had to overcome. What were some of the biggest challenges you faced in your early days?
Oh my gosh, man. Um, what about not being able to afford payroll?
That's a big one.
I will never I will never forget that I can't even afford to go to a chamber event for a $55 breakfast. And I had to really count my pennies, and I can't make the donations to help the community, but I still did it anyways. I still sent out guys during the Christmas and Thanksgiving time to feed the homeless, because I feel that there's there's gonna be there's gonna be opportunities to meet other people, and to serve people that um, will be part of my legacy.
Hmm.
I want people to remember us for being very kind people who built a company from scratch, which is really hard to do.
Right.
So back to the question about hardships. Um, I had I had $12,000 in debt, and that's because I also bought a truck that was a piece of crap, and I didn't know anything about this. We put so much money into it, like we probably spent another 12K just to put parts, only to have less than 40 moves with that truck. I really despise that truck, but it really taught me a lot of things. And if I had not bought that truck, then I also wouldn't have had these blessings where I met my crew leader, who I met in that 3.5 year time. I
Hmm.
work for another moving company. These first cats did not know that I actually couldn't afford payroll. So in order to do so, I had to go ahead and work for other movers so I could also learn what to do and what not to do, what I want in
Hmm.
my business, what I cannot have. And so this way I could actually pay them. Man, I think we made a lot of sacrifices,
Hmm.
and they are things I don't regret doing. And the banks also would not lend money to us. In fact, think about a slap in the face 3 years later, and in 2022, when Nevada State Bank, they won't lend us any credit. In fact, they offered me a $1,000 credit line when my payroll is more than $3,000 a week. It just doesn't make any sense. I don't run a lemonade stand, but I can be bald and let them know it's like, nope, that's unacceptable.
Right. Yeah. Sadly, that's banks, they'll lend you money when you don't need
Uh
it,
oh,
but they
man,
won't.
I'm losing you right now.
Okay.
Uh oh. Oh crap, man.
I can see
Where are
you.
you?
I can see you. I can
Uh
see
oh.
you.
Oh.
Hang
Oh
on.
no.
Hang on.
Jay, you still there?
Yep. I'm here.
Your mouth is open,
I can
but you're
hear
like
you.
frozen.
That you're buffering.
Oh, okay. I can hear you now. All right, that's better.
Yeah.
We should probably edit that part out about the break.
We will. We will.
Okay,
Don't worry.
cool.
It's your
Okay.
buffering. It's your buffering of where you're at. A plane might have
Oh, okay.
flown over
All
or
right.
something. So,
Okay.
no thing. All right. So, yeah, what I was saying was, banks have no problem lending you money when you don't need it, but when you do need it, they don't want to give it to you.
Oh yeah. So, um, I'm now with American Express. American Express is a wonderful program, and if you have questions about it, please DM me. Please give me a call. I'm gonna let you know how great they can do, and I have unlimited credit lines on 2 cards of theirs. I also let one of my drivers have an additional card as an employee, so this way I don't have to worry about filling up the truck. And I also have a great um, uh, checking account with them as well. And I know it may not make any difference to y'all that are listening to me, but that's just one less thing I have to worry about. I don't ever have to worry about being undercapitalized for the rest of our time here at 87 Movers, because this company will outlast me and Kathy.
Right. And that's important, especially when you're starting off, is to build up credit and to use credit wisely and making sure, because during the lean times when you're starting up and the winter times and stuff, it comes in handy.
Yeah, no doubt about it. That first winter, man, that was freaking brutal, because it was just as slow as it was the first 4 months, because we had like 18 jobs in that time. It was 18 or 19. And those were jobs that I had offered, because remember, I also worked for another mover at the same time. And that was a big learning step, which I call it sweat equity. I
Mm-hmm.
think Eric Works had talked about that on the podcast once with Wade.
Yep.
So I also subscribe to a lot of stuff that has to do with moving industry, but I also read a lot of books, and that's where I'm always learning, because you said that leaders are readers, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. If if I were to show you, I have literally probably a stack of about 100 books right over here that I'm slowly getting through. I've got 3 stacks, and I'm going through all the books, and I won't get through them all this year, but
Yeah,
I've
I know. So we got to get that started again. But yeah, 18 jobs. That's about how many we get in a week during the summertime.
18 jobs a week. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. All right, so let me talk to you about something about mentorships and guidance. You've mentioned, you've talked to, you've got friends that in your networking groups. You've signed up with other podcasts, and so. Do you have any specific mentors or significant influencers as you started your business?
Besides you, I would say it's some of your clients. So your clients should be other business owners because no one will support you more than another small business. What's considered a small business? According to Mike McCallowitz, it's someone who makes under $20 million a year. That means Justin Bieber at $18.5 million is considered small business. He could be your mentor if you have access to him. It's
Mm-hmm.
uh it's gonna be people who are more successful than you who've already been there, even if it's not the same industry.
Mm-hmm.
So two of my clients come into mind. One is very liquid. He's retired at the old age of 42, but he's got 4 properties. Him. We have another customer who owns a lawyer's office, and we sit and eat out maybe once every quarter. And he's always curious about, hey, what are you working on? And he asks better questions than what I'm used to. How's business? Which is a great question. But an even better one is, what are you working on? And also
Exactly.
things that I've learned from some customers who've given me good nuggets, like um, when you close a, a good customer and then you gave them a 100% 5-star rating, you're going to go ahead and ask them things to refer you to other people. And then you will also say one last thing that you are so sure about your service that you're going to say, if there's anything that I can do, or if I'm able, I will.
Mm-hmm.
And that also stuck with me as well since then.
Okay, excellent. Let's talk a little bit about your motivation. What gets you motivated? What gets you through the tough times?
Oh man, I'm human like all of you, and I have bad days, but I think we have less bad days as the years go on. When I wake up, I have to remember why we started this. We cannot let the bad guys win. And I will talk to myself for about 30 seconds to a minute, and then I pop right up from of my bed, and then I remind myself, okay, today was not a very good start to last night, but we can't let the bad guys win. And then that carries me on through the day, just those few words, because I've had such bad experiences working for people, so I'm going to give a better experience to the people that work for me.
Okay, all right, good. All right, so let's get into your little business specifics here. All right, um, let's talk about your USP, your unique selling position. What sets 87
Right.
Movers apart from other moving companies in Las Vegas?
Well, we look like a team, and that's part of it, is to look like success, and then we can be successful based off of our systems. We we use ideas that I've used from the books that I like to read from autobiographies, because I'm a huge sports fan. Ask me about football. I will talk your ear off, okay? And I've read 4 autobiographies of coaches, players, people who are successful, people mired in controversy. Rest in peace to Bobby Knight. Uh, we um, we always listen to audiobooks when I'm on the job. It drives my guys freaking crazy, but that's also part of the reason why I always try to encourage them to not call in, because I'm not supposed to be on the jobs with them anymore. I'm supposed to
Mhm.
create the jobs, right? But
Right.
I remind them, I was like, hey, if you're going to be on a job with me, you're going to become a better husband and a better father and a better brother. So if you don't want me on a job, then great. But it makes them smile, and I know that that's. I think I just got away from the question, but if you repeat it again, I'm sorry.
I was just what's your USP? What's your unique selling? What sets
Oh,
you
okay.
apart
Yeah.
from
So
XYZ movers?
my US okay, so my USP is I train my guys before they are even allowed on a move.
Okay. All right.
And I know successful moving company owners will put on a fresh body and then put on a shirt and said, "Okay, let's see what you have." But no, I since I'm not very trusting, I make sure that uh that they know our expectations, and then I could trust them with a veteran.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how we can have a system where we can repeat success, and we will not put on someone who's not ready for a move.
Okay. Great. Excellent. Um, what's your what's your customer service philosophy? How do you ensure customer satisfaction in a business like yours, in a service based business like yours? What do you do to make sure customer satisfaction is 200%?
I don't believe the customer is always right, but it's important the customer thinks they are.
Mm-hmm.
And that means that you're going to ask them, what are your needs for your move? Hey,
Mm-hmm.
why are you moving? And if it's a customer that doesn't want to answer those things, maybe it's a touchy subject for them. So this means that this customer is not ready for my service. They need to go on to someone else. However, if it's someone that's willing to open up, it's an emotional thing for them, and I can go ahead and be of service for them because of this reason, then great. I want to keep on talking to them. I'm gonna show up to their home, and I'm gonna go ahead and show them a good person that is able to listen, recite everything back that they told me what they need, and to come up with a solution. We're gonna talk about it together. In fact, I may even say some things that are ludicrous so that way they remember me. But at the same time, I'm gonna be serious Tony, and then I'm gonna come up with a game plan, and that's what we call this. One that's custom suited to that certain customer. So this way we can solve all of their concerns and all of their problems because you you're more valuable when you solve bigger problems for people, and that's how you become more successful.
Okay. Excellent. All right. Um, we already you've talked to you about that. You train some before you send them on the thing. So let's talk about a little bit of employee management. Let's you know expand upon that. What do you? How do you recruit? And how do you train your staff? Like? First of all, give me how you recruit them. How do you find your guys? And then what do you do when you train them?
Indeed is a good source for us, and also I don't turn away candidates that call us up on our office line, but
Mm-hmm.
I do tell them that since I don't accept applications, you must send in a resume. No resume, no interview. The way
Mm-hmm.
I see it is we spend all this time and all this money to market on Indeed,
Mm-hmm.
and if you're not able to do the simple thing of giving us a resume, you don't deserve 15 minutes of our time. We
Okay.
also look for experienced movers and then pay them more, but that is to be determined how much that's going to be because what I learned is just because a cat may say that they have 17 years of experience, 9 years, 3 years, whatever it is, they may not
Mm-hmm.
know what they're doing. And so that's why we invite them over to Unit's warehouse. That's my power partner that we talked about, Pod's company.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to ask them, hey, can you show me how you wrap a chair? Here's some choices. You got bands, you got tape, uh, you got blankets, you got uh, paper pads, doesn't matter. Let's see how you do it. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what shows you if someone is going to BS you or someone really knows what they're talking about. And
Mm-hmm.
then I was like, okay, so you said that you have leadership experience. Show me. So I'm all about being shown. Just like how I now ask people, hey, you told me that you're available to be interviewed at this time, and you said that you are still looking for work. What's going to stop you from showing up at this interview at this time at this place? Because the most people out there are not very serious about getting jobs nowadays. So I make sure to take out the people that aren't serious, which is why we have an 80% attendance to our job fairs. We
Mm-hmm.
used to have very low attendance, like 15%, and this is because we don't mess around with it, and we also keep an 86 list of people that we do not ever want on our teams anymore or will never interview.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's important when you're looking for to hire people, is that you have things and procedures in place that weeds out the bad characters, that weeds out the bad weeds, if you will, um, from so that you can have the pick of the litter.
Yeah, and I know that Kathy doesn't like to, in the very beginning, pay people for training them with customer service oriented things before they even lift a box. But it's that important to me that they know the expectations, or
Mhm.
otherwise, they could work for someone else that could just throw them onto a truck and come with a shirt. And those companies have been very successful too.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things I did towards the end of my business when I was running You Save Moving and Storage was I would spend, it was a 3-day training period, right? The first day
Hmm.
it was all theory. So I had them study, um, the handbook, right? The handbook went over all the procedures, what was expected of them, what their job consisted of, how, how they were supposed to train it, how they were supposed to treat the customers, how to like lay out boxes and floor runners and stuff to protect the house. The proper way to park a truck, proper way to carry boxes, and all that good stuff. The second day is I had them actually demonstrate to me those skills, right? So they had to demonstrate, okay,
Hmm.
how do you wrap a chair? How do you wrap a couch? How do um, I didn't do what you did, but that gives me a good idea. What you could do is you could have rubber bands, you could have stretch wrap, you could have tape, and then give them a scenario like, okay, good, you're about ready to do a one-way trip, a load only on a one-way trip to from Las Vegas to Austin, Texas, right? Here are the
Right,
scenarios. All right, here's paper pads, here's cloth pads, here's here's rubber bands, here's tape, here's a stretch wrap. What would you use for this particular scenario, and how would you wrap up that particular item? Right. So, like, if they pick up a heavy duty pad, wrap it in a heavy duty pad, and then use rubber bands, you know that this is a labor only going one way. Why would you give them our best equipment to go one way that we will never see that equipment again? Right. So you know what I'm saying? So I kind of like that approach.
yeah. Well, um I wish I could trust my guys into knowing what supplies would be given to a customer, but that's something I need to systematize because I do rent storage and I got a whole bunch of boxes and supplies in there.
Hmm.
But because I don't think I have a very good training program on how to pick things, which I didn't think was very hard. I but I since I haven't spent the time to go ahead and spell it out and give consequences for giving away too many materials. um that's why I decided, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and drop it off myself until we can find a system for how we're going to go about doing so.
Yeah,
It,
I
it's
found
kind of
that when
frustrating.
yeah, I found that when you're
It's kind of
training the
frustrating,
guy.
and then lost tools was like, oh yeah, I don't really have consequences for those yet,
Right.
because it's hard for me to employ that when I know that um, sometimes replacing an entire toolbox may be about 20% of someone's bill, but they will feel my wrath about that, and usually it doesn't happen again. They
Right.
will still keep their toolboxes that I supplied to them.
Right. Yeah, I had guys sign out the tool. So if they signed out a toolbox, they had to sign out toolbox A, right? And then they had to sign out the
Right,
dolly, what dolly they're using, what all the stuff that they had to sign that it was all there, or the lead mover had to sign that it was all there, or somebody in charge of that had to sign for all the tools and equipment, right? And if it got returned and it wasn't there, it was whoever signed it out, it was their head. So they knew thing. I also found that when you're training a guy, you have to train them at a second grade to third grade level, like literally see spot run kind of level. Um, you can't. The first. Let's be honest. Most of the guys who are doing this job weren't very good in school in the first place. Let's just be perfectly
hmm,
frank. Most of these guys were smoking weed, out during lunch if they could get away with it, or under the bleachers or whatever the stereotype is. They're the ones that made they're the students that made the C students look smart, so not that they're stupid, it's just school wasn't for them, and they were off doing whatever they were because you know it wasn't the right environment for them to learn. um but that's the people you're dealing with, because they can't go and get a job, you know programming computers. They can't go get a job doing thing because they just don't have the skills, but they have, they got good strong bodies, so that's why they do this kind of work for the most part. That's not across the boards, but there's a lot of people that are very entrepreneurial, don't want to, you want to be their own boss, so they'll, and there's that kind of crew that get into it. But I'm finding when you train them, you got to really train the guys at a very low educational level for them to actually understand it, right? And then I was implementing, before I sold my company, I was implementing a bunch of courses I had to do, which if they completed it, passed it, got certified at proficiency, then they would get a raise. So they were also in control of their own raise. So for instance, if they wanted to be a trainer, they would learn how to go and train crew, right? How to actually take a crew and train them. And then they would read the stuff, they would practice it, and then they would be out in the field and they would have to practice proficiency. And where I got this teaching style literally was from the military. The military would put you in a course, they'd give you a lecture, have you read something, you had to then do it, and then you had to be certified by the drill instructor or your sergeant or whatever that you could do it, right? So take oh wow, that was loud. So if you had like taken apart and cleaning your M16 rifle, we had a okay, this is how you do it. They showed us how to do it. They gave us a little big old sheet where you put each part of the machine gun on. Boom. Now you do that, and then you reverse the thing, and it had numbers where take this part first, second part, third part, etc., etc. And so I kind of took that motto and put it into the moving business. So just a side note.
Man, that reminds me of when I read about Coach Lombardi, and he's one of the greatest coaches ever, and he's part of the reason why football is not a team and it's not a sport where you just pick up a ball and run. There's thinking in it, because he starts every year with, gentlemen, this is a football, to the very simple basics of the game.
Right. I mean, because all business and any game really is a mastery of the basics, right? And if you just teach the basics, right, and that you get the guy to master the basics, then that's where intuition comes into play. That's where experience comes into play. That's where creativity comes into play. Once they master that, then they can start thinking with how they can be better and how to do better. And that's just my personal philosophy. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's just the way I did it.
No, I agree with you. I do hire men that are much better at this than I am, and sure, maybe it can give them a big head for this, and I'll go ahead and to eat humble pie all day long and said, yep, you are better at moving than I am. You're supposed to be, and I'm glad you are. Now let's see when you're ready to take on more responsibility so you can get better pay. And this is the stuff that speaks to some of them. Some of my guys actually don't care about more money. Sometimes for them they want respect because they don't have it for every part of their life. So I can fulfill that within the job that they perform for us. And that can be very satisfying when you can give a man what they want and desire.
Right. All right, let's
and
go.
Structure. And structure too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Yeah. There's I forget where I read it, but it basically, discipline is the foundation of a successful business, right? Without discipline, and that means discipline of the owner as well as the employees, and the owner implementing discipline. A well-disciplined organization thrives, whereas a chaotic and disorganized and undisciplined crew, rarely accomplish much, right?
Right.
Sometimes, though, you know, like you can get a bunch of rogues that their discipline is being rogues, but they're very capable people, right? And sometimes you just got to let them off the chain. But that comes, I'm not the person who can really spot that talent thing. But let's actually move on to some operational things in your business. Give me an example of your a typical day at Movers 87. What is, from start to finish? What
Oh
is
man,
your
7 a.m. Wake up because our office hours start at 8 a.m. I'm gonna look at my emails. I'm gonna respond to the ones that need response.
Mhm,
We block the ones that are spam. Then I'm gonna look at any missed calls, anything that needs a follow up, and then I'm gonna within that 30-minute window look at, hey, who needs a follow up? Who am I gonna be seeing? Uh, what am I gonna be doing today? What are my guys doing today? Who
mhm,
is gonna be calling in today? If we have a call in, who is Plan B? What's Plan C?
mhm,
When does it get to me? I'm Plan D or E. When does it have to
mhm,
get to Kathy? She's like Plan K. She's all the way down there.
mhm,
We never want to ever rely on her, but there's been a couple times where she had to go on a packing job. So um, we also see who is late, who will not get their bonuses, who will be getting their bonuses, and how much bonus will there be. How many hours were worked by, and this all is within the first hour before we open at 8 a.m. Now, when 8 a.m. comes along, that's when the guys have to be at the storage unit to go in and grab the truck. Now, remember, our um, full jobs are 30% of what we do, but they make 70% of our profits. We also have other jobs simultaneously going on where they're not meeting at the storage unit. They could be meeting to do a unit or pods load up, freight trailer, ABF, maybe a Connex container, in-house, unit to unit, whatever it may be. We have to make sure that those crew leaders that they sign in by giving a text message said, "Hey Kathy, start time is 9:12 a.m. Hey Kathy, start time is 9:18 a.m." That's because we give a 9 o'clock to 9:30 start time. So this way the customer knows within that window it will be fulfilled. They also get a call within 1 hour's arrival time. Um, so if the leader is going to be calling out, then who's the second one that's going to be taking command of that clipboard because they're all assigned a backup role in case something were to happen. Um, Then when it comes to about 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, around those 3 hours, if I'm not already in a Zoom meeting or I'm not in a networking event with my BNI chapter, we're going to be doing spot checks. I'm going to be taking videos. I'm taking photos, and I'm going to be posting a reel that I have done. I have on my drafts about 12 reels that we haven't published yet because social media is very big, especially because we want to be the best social media movers in Nevada. And
mhm,
that's where we're going to get extra jobs from. And we're going to meet new realtors on there. I try to make 2 or 3 meaningful connections with real go-getters according to what we believe social media is. Sometimes I'm wrong, but we want to try with people that make more than $30,000 a year because we don't want to surround ourselves with average people, only the go-getters. Um, then after some jobs maybe finish, we're going to collect the balance of the moves themselves. We're going to be booking jobs. Maybe I'm on the run. Kathy is back over at home to take the phone calls. We take large deposits. We take larger deposits than anyone here in Nevada. We ask for 2 hours or 3 hours in advance, plus any arrivals, please, any supplies. So it's not uncommon for us to ask for like $1,200 up front just because we want to make sure there's no hidden charges, and we let everyone know about that. And once you already capture all their information, they know that, hey, I have skin in the game. They have my address. They already know my needs. They listen to every single thing I did. Maybe they're more expensive than everybody else, but they're not going to not show up on me. And
mhm,
so that's why after you get a good reputation, it's a lot easier to sell customers that are new and repeat customers. So those ratings are very important. And by showing up to our VIP customers, coming with gift cards and things like that, it makes them happy because they already booked with you before. Maybe it's a repeat customer. Come say hi. They want to meet the owner. They want to know that they're supporting a locally owned business, and it'll make them happy. And then you can snip any type of problem in the bud, and that's why we have a 4.9 out of 5 star rating, of hundreds of reviews on Yelp and Google. We could work on Yelp a little bit. Um, so I'm going to be listening to audiobooks while I'm going from place to place to place. Now it's 4 or 5 o'clock. That's when I have either an assigned one-to-one dinner with one of my referral partners, or maybe I'm meeting a client. I'm doing estimations, and there's no estimations. I fill my day up. I fill my day up until 7 p.m. And sometimes I might be doing a late night event, and that late night event has to do with meeting more people. Maybe it doesn't automatically mean getting new business, but it took 3 years before the drone guy needed us to move in because the people I met on Craigslist were no longer on Craigslist, none of us, but we all leveled up together, and that's what's really beautiful about this.
Right. Okay, that's excellent. Thank you. All right, so let's talk about technology and integration. Have you integrated
Okay.
any technology or software to streamline your operations? You got a CRM? Are you using AI? Tell me a little bit about your
Oh
technology.
yes, MoverBase is my favorite CRM because of how easy it is, and it's really quite cheap. It's under $100,
Mm-hmm.
and that's how we send out calendar invites. So when I worked for a rogue mover, when I was trying to cover my payroll, it was all just text messages. It was all very disorganized. I don't want that. We put gate codes on there because here in Las Vegas, a lot of people live behind gated communities.
Mm-hmm.
If there's no gate code, what's the protocol? Oh, you need this QR code to get in. Show your license, please.
Mm-hmm.
If you need to get into Nellis Air Force Base, then you need a real ID. So I never send anyone that doesn't have real IDs. You also have to do background checks. So that unfortunately it has to disinclude some reform men that I really do love, but they're just not fit for a military move. Um, we we have to do that as master logicians because we would look really foolish if we went into a mid-rise or high-rise and there's a COI, but we can't perform the move because we don't have paperwork. And that's why we make sure that all that is done. And sometimes the customer may not be aware that they need these requirements. After all, they don't know what they're paying for. But that's where you educate them, be like, it's not a good idea to hire movers without the paperwork because then they can't even perform your move. Then you're on your own. So that's why you should hire us. And if you don't hire us, hire people that has this paperwork. And when you capture their attendance, like, oh shit, really? They can come in all the way over here and then they can't even move me. That can be very true.
Okay, good. All right, I want to talk to you about some entrepreneurial insights now. Let's talk about your growth
Yep.
strategies. What strategies have you employed to grow your business? What are you doing? Are you
So we're trying different AI things right now, and these are going to be used for the way that we do canned responses for certain situations. So we use context sensitive email responses for things that I don't want to spend time to do manually on. That saved me about 25% of the time. I use beautiful AI for our presentations because I do show up to realtor events, and that saved me like 75% of the time that I would be doing slides manually. That's wonderful. I love that, and I also love being in Nick's group. Nick is also my SEO guy for AI Movers group, so I'm gonna shout out to him. And we tried an app called Count Things. It's it's okay. That's when I'm counting boxes because it's not good at counting totes for furniture. So that's one thing that I could use um, in addition to the CRMs, and also to using an iPad when I'm on site with a customer to count things because we don't use pen and paper. We use the same thing capture everyone's information and use that information in order to keep up with our customer list and be able to send them newsletters. Hey, we're still in business, and we're gonna treat all of your friends and family like we did on your move. And they like hearing from you, even if it's a cheesy email.
Yeah, you'd be surprised. I used to send my former customers favorite recipes, right? If I came across a recipe like an apple pie or something like.
Were you a pretty good cook, or was it just something that you did online, or what?
I am a cook, and I do have a background in cooking. I was a sous chef at a restaurant at a 3-star restaurant for a short time when I lived in Los Angeles. But
Man, no way.
yeah,
In a former life, I would probably be a cook too. Damn.
yeah. I like cooking, but cooking's not my passion. Um, I'd rather just throw something in a box, boil it, and be done. Kind of, I'm that kind of guy. Um, but um, but just sending things like that, like favorite recipes, little decorate, around, like right now around Christmas and Thanksgiving, some a little guide about some of the best gifts that someone could give, the best places to donate, how to make Thanksgiving best, when you're, long distance Thanksgiving celebration ideas. Um, things like that. Just really, topical, if it's around 4th of July, it'll be maybe something around 4th of July, just some of the things like that. If it's around St. Patty's Day, we might do something funny, but we would send things like that. But included with that email would be the thing, hey, here's a success story. Here's how we moved Jane from Lansing to Detroit, or etc. You know what I mean? And then, hey, if you ever want to get in touch with us again about your move, or you have any questions, blah blah blah, and so I mean, there's that. That's what we would do. And then also, one thing that I notice people aren't doing is they're not emailing guys that have not used you, right? Because you've spent a lot of money to get a lead, right? And whether they used your company or not, you still spent a lot of money for that lead. Why are you not talking to them? Because, in a year, 2, 3 years, they might be wanting to move again, right?
Yeah, they could have been raped by another moving company that they promised them everything, and it turned out to be a crap move.
Or
And
whatever.
now
Yeah.
they will remember that you were honest to them and said this was going to take 10 hours with us, and it actually took 12 with the other people, and they broke everything even though they promised it would be 4.
Right. So it's things like that. But like somebody in an apartment, usually once a year or at once every year or 2 years, someone in an apartment is going to be moving. So having that communication line, even though they didn't use you this time, there's nothing stopping them from using you guys next time. And if you're in communication, I guarantee you, 2 men in a truck, college hunks, black tie, well, whomever it is, they're not emailing the guys that were just prospects or failed leads. They're not emailing those guys, and I think that's, you spent hundreds of dollars to attain a lead, right? That lead costs you a minimum of $20, right? A minimum, and you're just going to just let it go and not do anything with it. That's just stupid. It's a waste of money. So, yeah, you email the guys that you've done moves for. That's awesome. But then you have another email list where you're emailing the guys that never used you. And you want to email them so much to the point where they say, stop emailing me. I don't want to hear from you ever again. Once they do that, you go, okay, no problem, done. Right. But it's the
Yeah,
constant, seriously,
constant contact.
yeah, you're just blowing them up with your information. And it's always, mine was always a variation of what I sent to my former customers. Like, here's a good holiday idea. Here's a recipe that I came across that I really love. Hey, check out this restaurant that was in your town that I went to Texas Roadhouse, and Main Street or whatever, or whatever mom and pop diner. Hey, I went to mom and pop diner, checked it out with my family. Man, we had a great time. The people were lovely there. The ambiance was great. Man, if you're ever in town or in this area, you should check out XYZ Cafe or something like that, because they got great customer service, things like that. And I just, ways to make the household easier and stuff. And then, maybe you didn't get the move, but maybe you could sell cleaning service. Like, so you gonna get a lead for a cleaning service. Now you can sell that lead to the cleaning service, or you want to concentrate on your move, and I get that. But maybe somebody's up to the point where they want to add cleaning to as part of their a la carte menu of what they provide. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because if you did a good job on them, then your opinion now is valuable, and you automatically created trust for your friends that own the cleaning company or junk removal company.
Right. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with Alex Hormozy, but he's a huge guy in the field. He created. He's good. He's well on his way to being a billionaire. Right. The guy's you got.
Oh yeah, I love his channel, and also was there when he had this giant Zoom meeting, and then I captured his ebook. I didn't finish the entire thing, but I like what I see so far.
Yeah, I did the thing. I sent out a whole email to my list to say, hey, you guys should check this guy out. As a matter of fact, his book is right here. I got both of his books right down here that are holding up my camera. But one of his things is lead magnets, right? I actually wrote 2 lead magnets. I wrote Save Money Moving and How Much Do Movers Cost and Other Moving Facts, which you can find those books on Amazon.com. Cheap plug, but there it is. And those are lead magnets. They're literally published books that somebody could have in their hand and read. And it takes about an hour to read these books. And I wrote them. And my plan, and you're going to hear it first. They're about the size of this book, right? This is only like 8x6, basically, about that size. It's a little bit smaller than that, but right around that size. And I'm going to do a challenge where I'm going to take $100 and I'm going to start a new business in my area, starting with moving labor, and I'm going to document it, and I'm going to see if it succeeds or if it fails, right? And I'm going to put it right here on the channel. I'm going to start with $100, and the only thing that I can use is this $100 and anything that I have that is already available to me. So I've got a stack of books. I've got, you know what I mean? I've got my knowledge on how to build websites and stuff. So I'll probably start with a cheap, or buy a template for a website and get a name and all that stuff. So $100 starts, and I'm going to, actually go out with my camera, and I'm going to show them how I'm going to knock on doors and all the good stuff and actually think. So, you know what I mean? So folks, if you're into that and you want to think, stay tuned. It's going to be at the beginning of this year sometime. So it's going to be the $100 moving startup challenge. If you're interested in watching that, be prepared. So you're hearing it first. But yeah, that's, I think lead magnets are good. So if you have like this list of guys who were interested but never followed through with your service, you have like lead magnet that you could send up. Now they're becoming, you know what I mean? Because the whole thing is reciprocity. So if you send them a free book, now they're going to be, wow, 87 Movers sent me this free book and it really helped me out, right? And you could write it on whatever you want to write it on. You could write it on like how to live in Las Vegas, right? Things like that. It doesn't even have to be around moving. It could just be a book about things about in Las Vegas, how to live here and how to be a Las Veganite or whatever you guys call yourselves, right?
I like it. I never thought about the book idea, but I always thought, man, why did no one write about the moving industry, even though there's so many great businesses that are in our industry? And
Well, somebody
there is a
has, and
book
it was
I
me.
have on pre-order, and it should be coming out soon. Jackie Fisher is she's a daughter of the founder of Three Men Movers down in Houston, Texas. I visited her, and she showed me her warehouse. She's got a parts facility. She's got mechanic bays. They have hundreds of trucks. They also been in business since 1985. father was the one that started at age 50, and now she's the CEO of a very successful moving company, and they have wonderful processes. They own everything top down, kind of like um, uh, I can't think of his name right now. Um, a billionaire who has everything, from like they don't outsource anything. Like they have their own mechanic base, they even have their own merchant processing. They were exploring in their own CRM. It's it's there's actually an interview with Jackie on the Move It Pro group that I think you should check out. But I met that lady, and man, she is a wonderful lady, and I would consider her as a mentor too. And she didn't have to show me around her warehouse, um, but she had her most senior people show me what's going on. I know her idea was maybe she could make me a three-man franchisee down in Las Vegas, but when she saw that we were booking three moves while in the 2 hours that she spent with us, she decided, oh, okay, maybe they're not a good fit for us because these are ambitious. This is a very ambitious couple that is going to make their own destiny. But I really respect what she's done.
Yeah, yeah. I've pre-ordered her book as well. So yeah, I'm ready for that.
Oh,
All
you
right.
did? Nice.
Yep. Yep. So I'm gonna let's talk about the industry's perspective, right? Um, so tell me a little bit. How much has the industry changed since you started? What was some of the bigger changes?
I don't see as many homeowners. Most of the customers we've been seeing are return or referrals for renters.
Mm-hmm.
We track our people and put them into different buckets, and who we think is a homeowner, who we think is a renter. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
there's also people who we call warm, or people who we think are cold, and sometimes they may actually book us even though they're a cold customer. In fact, we have people that don't like us booking us because they know that we do a good job. And if they don't like Kathy or Tony, as long as they respect us and they like our guys, that's good enough for us.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
um so 70% of our new acquisitions have been renters. So that means that we're going to need to move them again out of storage, or we're going to need to move them in again to their new apartment or their new home. And
Mm-hmm.
this is for um, big homes, little homes, luxury homes, one bedroom apartments.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, great.
So
Ex-
if we know our analytics, that's why we're going to spend the money and spend the time to go after our majority customer. Because if
Mhm.
we're not going to get new homeowners because interest rates are up, we're not going to think about doomsday type things. We're
Right.
going to think about where the market is trending at. And so it was a lot easier to book moves when we started than right now. But we can't make excuses for our guys not having jobs.
Right.
That's where we got to be creative. We have to look for other avenues of how we can give jobs to people by being ourselves, but still keeping our foot firm on what it is that we do want in that customer and what we don't want.
Right. Okay. So, moving like any other industry is pretty competitive. What are you doing to stay
Yeah,
competitive in
there's
this?
4,000 movers down here in Las Vegas.
4,000?
Yeah, not all of them are doing business. In fact, that's why there's been an influx of people that are applying for us. Like in this time that I've been doing a podcast with you, I have actually 10 new applicants for our job posting right now.
Wow. That's amazing. That's,
And
I
these are
find
people that all have experience, I believe,
good.
or say
4,000.
they do
That,
anyways. Until I invite them out to the warehouse, and then they'll show me if they know what they're doing, or they're just talking out of their butt.
right. There's like maybe a dozen movers, like legitimate movers here in the Lansing area. Right. So to say 4,000 in a city that's what, a couple million people, that's a very saturated city for movers.
Yeah, it is, but it's our unique selling proposition that we train people, and that's what sets us apart. And it's also the way that we have a culture, because we want to have the type of culture just like the Home Depot book by Ken Langoni, Arthur Blank, the owner of the Falcons, and
Hmm.
Bernie Marcus, they talk about that you enculturate your people to cultivate your customers, because good customer service is great, but cultivating your customers is far better. That's why Home Depot is the best retailer in the world, overtaking Walmart, and it's a hardware store, and they have 60% more of the revenue than their number two, which is Lowe's, because they believe that they can empower their customers to do it themselves, and that's why that company has more blue collar millionaires than any other company in the world. It's a very fascinating story that I recommend putting on your Audible list, called Built from Scratch. Love that book.
Yeah, I love their model because, you know, one, their prices are very competitive. You if you got a carpenter's license or some sort of license, you could get your supplies from them at a wholesale price or just above wholesale. They've got a lot of classes on teach people like do it yourselfers like me how to do some plumbing or wiring or whatever. And then
They
they
got
also
class for
have,
women too, and your kids. That
right,
that's that's
yeah.
that's that, that's the best part.
Yeah, they like they're right now they're advertising of like these things for kids to come in to build like toys and wooden toys and stuff like that, like little workshops. Which I think it's immersive and it's engaging, and that's why like when we were talking about emails, I really like to have my emails to be engaging. If there was a good YouTube video, I would send a good YouTube video. Try to just engage with your customers and just form a bond and relationship is definitely a competitive advantage, especially in today's where these guys are wham bam, thank you, ma'am. Give me the check. They're like, okay, we're done, and they never want to talk to the person ever again, right? And it's just like,
No,
yeah, I
Jay,
got
that'd be terrible, and that'd be a death sentence to my business, because since there's so many movers around me, and I I have to make sure that we we act like realtors, the ones that are great realtors, not $30,000 per year realtors. So that's why we send out Christmas cards. We send out gift cards to our VIPs. We stop by on to spot check our guys. We shake hands. We pet dogs, and we remember little bits about those people that support us, because they know our guys' names. Why can't we know their names? We know a little bit about them because we've been in the world. We pack their stuff, and so that's not something they're used to from a home service company.
yeah. There's a great
So
book.
the barrier to entry here in our entire industry is not very high. So that's why it leaves a lot of room to be great.
I ran across the book long ago, and it was old then, and it was called Surefire Sales Techniques by Les Dane. And if you ever pick that up, it's I guess the book was in the Church of Scientology or something I read about because you can
Hmm.
hardly find it online, and when you do, it's like they want $400 for this book. But quite honestly, I would pay $400 for this book. It's very good, but it talks exactly about building up the relationship and how you build up that relationship and how you form basically and cultivate and farm an army of people that will just go out and just do your bidding for free, right? Bunch of basically get a bunch of referrals. It's a referral source.
Sounds
So
like
if you
a
could,
Dr. Meisner type book for BNI, which that's a great organization. I think more movers should join it.
yeah,
I
I
introduced
disagree with you there.
two.
At least,
I introduced two of the movers in my area who happen to be my friends. I said, "Man, you got to join BNI. I have a 20 half times ROI in the 2 years I bought from my membership. I love it. I wish I could spend more time at it, but BNI is great, and there's 13 chapters, so it's a mutually exclusive group where it's one industry per chair.
yeah, yeah, I'm
Did
familiar
BNI
with it.
work for you?
Huh? No, not at all.
Did oh, okay,
Not
yeah.
at all.
I think
It
it's
was
because my
complete.
market's better for that, Jay. That's why.
Yeah, I think, and I agree with you. I literally joined a group one time, right? And there was two guys. There was a person who was a loan mortgage broker and a real estate agent, right? And they were really good friends, and so on and so forth. I was the only mover in the group, right? And one day I've been in the group now for a year and a half, right? Talking about my services and stuff like that. They know who I am. They know what I do, right? And I just happened to sit next to them one day, and they were talking about like, yeah. I had this guy. He needed a mover, and so I referred him to Two Men in a Truck. And Two Men in a Truck is the Mac Daddy in our thing, because Two Men in a Truck is headquartered right here in my town, right? I don't know if you knew that or anybody knew that, but it's true. Lansing,
Yeah, they started in
Michigan.
1984, right?
Yeah, something like that. Their headquarters is right here in Lansing. I know John and Mary Ellen and all the guys who started. I've met them several times. Good people. They actually sold the company to some kind of fund group or something that is doing some weird stuff with it. But they're no longer. They might still own a partnership or stock in company, but they sold the company. But anyway, the point being is like, yeah, they thing, and they, so yeah, I referred them over. I referred your guys to Two Men in a Truck, and I looked at them like, really? And they looked at me and goes, what? I've been in this group a year and a half. I'm a mover, and you didn't refer them to me? Well, we just have two men. I could just see him starting to backtrack, and I was like, I can't. I was livid. I was like, I'm done. I'm done. I'm doing all this work, and here I am in this group, the only person, and they're supposed to refer to the group, right? That's how the group is built. But yet they know, here I am. They know who I am, and they still refer to my competitor without sending me even giving me a chance. So after that, I was like, I just
Yeah,
gave
Jay,
them the
that's
bird and walked
unfortunately
away.
really, really shitty. Not all BNI groups are the same. So I
I
had to
know.
shop 7 different groups before I decided which one I joined. And that's because I was like, okay, well, it seems like this is the people I gel with. And because I'm a very picky person, and I have to be very selective on who I spend the time with and make time for, because there's only one of me. That's why I feel bad for you. It's too bad that there doesn't seem like a lot of groups in Lansing that could do it. I bet if you had choices like me where there's 12 chapters, then you probably would have found a better mortgage and real estate agent and better handyman and people who actually are reciprocal in the way that they refer business.
Right. Yeah. What really put some salt into the wound was about a year and a half later, I talked to the real estate agent, right? And she goes, "Oh, don't I know you?" I'm like,
What? Come on, man.
I'm not
But you
joking. I'm
spend
like,
30 seconds a meeting to every single week in your chair to talk about your business.
right. And I'm like, are you, I literally looked at her. I was like, what do you mean? Goes, you look very familiar to me. I'm like, I used to be in your BNI group. And she's like, oh yeah, that's right. I'm like, what's your name again? She asked. I'm like, what's my name? I'm like, are you, I'm like, I was like, oh man, I just wanted, I was so mad. I was so pissed off. I was so mad. I literally wanted to haul off and hit her, but I'm not that kind of guy. I kept it in myself. I know how to restrain myself, but I just wanted to jack her so hard. I'm like, it was just so insulting. It's just like, so I just, it's, and it's partly, and I have to take responsibility because I obviously did not do a good enough job to impinge in their universe to be memorable and to get them to even recognize that I'm part of the group. But that just gives you, and their whole group was like this, that they're just so narcissistic and had no clue, and they were only out for themselves. And you could see how cliquey they were. They're like, there would be 2 or 3 people that would just talk to each other, only that thing, right? And it was just a social hour, and it wasn't really about helping out your fellows, right? So I'm a pretty introverted person, believe it or not. So I have a lot of responsibility in that, and I have to take responsibility that I didn't do a good enough job to get in there and do it. So I can't just, although that made me mad and was very insulting, at the same time, I have to look and go, I didn't do a good enough job, right? I just didn't do it, So even though it made me mad and I'm a little salty about it, most of the rancor that I have over that situation is my own failure. So I have to say that and give in all fairness. So
Yeah, um I'll let you know. I think maybe the live networking is probably your weakest point for collecting marketing, but
mhm.
you're gonna find what your shortcomings are, and if you can't do it, then that's where your partner can shine. Because that's definitely not what Kathy does. She doesn't go outside, and that's
Mhm.
fine because she's good on the phone, and she
Right.
didn't know she was before. But because we believe in each other and we gave each other these, um, man, working with your would be wife is pretty
Mhm.
awesome. But you did it by yourself, and that's, I believe, a bigger challenge being a one man band.
Yeah.
I don't know how you're able to do it because you started from scratch too, no franchise, right?
No. Yep. Yep. Literally started with zero money. I had when I started my company, I was living with my dad. I just moved out back from California. I was living, so I was just getting back on my feet coming out here. So I was living with my father. Um, I had a job, but uh, the guy was not paying me, so I said screw it. And I started. The only thing I had was my phone, and at the time it was a flip phone, and it was one of those pay-as-you-go phones. So it had no features, no camera, no nothing on it, and I was paying $20 for I don't know how many minutes it was, but I'd pay $20 and then I'd see that I would run low and I'd go buy another phone card for $20 and get another, you know what I mean, that kind of thing. I had my Ford Explorer SUV, and that was basically it. I had to go to the library to use the computer, right? I had no voicemail, no nothing, and the first thing I did was I went and I signed up for Moving Helper and Hire a Helper and all these little things, and then I went and started placing ads in Craigslist. But back then, Craigslist was a lot better back then. It wasn't so. It hadn't descended into just a bunch of broke, poor ass tire kickers that really aren't worth a lot, right? And I really don't want to insult the tire kickers that much, so I'm trying not to use the tire kickers. But but back then, Craigslist was the thing. There, Angie's List really wasn't a thing yet. No such thing as Home Advisor or Thumbtack, right? And when you
That's
use
okay. I don't have a lot of respect for those companies, anyways.
right
So,
there, yeah.
um,
So you didn't have any of these directory sites like you have these days. Nothing like that. And back then, Google would rank if you had a URL. You could put your URL and make it clickable in Craigslist, right? And you could get high search engine. Um, you could get a high ranking for your website and stuff in the search engines. So I could go, I'm the best mover in Lansing, Michigan, and that post would show up number one in Google um, for our area. So and nobody was advertising moving companies on Craigslist except me, right? And then I would put my link and then it'd go right to my website and off to the races we go, right? And that was one of the things. And then also what I was using is, again, nobody was using the strategy at the time, at least not in any significant manner. I think there was one company in Toronto that was using, but I would go and I had one of these flip cameras, a very very cheap kind of camera, digital camera that you flipped in. It flipped up a USB and you could plug it into your computer from there. But I would go and take that camera and I would get a 30-second testimonial, right, from the customer, right? And then I would upload that to my computer, and then I'd upload it to YouTube, and then I would keyword stuff the heck out of the video, and that's what I did. And I man, I would get hundreds, if not thousands, of views just because I was using YouTube, and nobody else was using a thing. And then I just packed my website with a bunch of these YouTube videos of my testimonials. So I literally had hundreds of testimonials, right? Even though I didn't have high Google rank or Yelp or anything, I had a lot of YouTube videos on my thing saying, I'm the greatest thing since sliced bread. And these videos would just do all my selling for me. So basically, that was my website when it first started out. So
hmm,
anyway,
okay. And you said that you're gonna start over again with the $100 challenge. So,
yeah.
so I want to see, I want to see your new company, and I'm in total support of it. I'm one of your first followers then.
Well, it's going to be on this channel. I don't know if I'm
Okay.
going to make another channel or not, but I believe I'm going to at the very least I'll probably start it here and then turn it over and do a whole nother channel. But the whole thing is to teach people that you can start a moving business with $100, start right, make good amount of money, and scale the business up, even if you got zero to nothing, right?
Right.
Anyway, so let's go over there. Um, so what are let's talk about some advice for other entrepreneurs, other people that are looking to get into this business. What advice would you give to somebody looking to start their own business or moving labor business or so on? What is the things you would give them?
I believe that you need to work long hours, and
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
one
agree
quick
there.
way to find out if you're cut out for being an entrepreneur is if you have two jobs where you don't see the sunshine when you wake up, go to work, and then you see the sun's not even there when you go to bed, working 60-hour weeks, then you might be able to do it. I did it for 3 years. I did it when I was working at the warehouse because I did not get the same amount of money when I was working at the bank, but I still have a mortgage, and
Mm-hmm.
the threat of losing my house is great enough that I wanted to make sure that we keep up a lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
If that can't happen for you, I don't think you're fit to be an entrepreneur. And I also believe you need to be very focused. This means that if you're going to be a realtor, be a full-time realtor. Don't do a side hustle. Do only real estate. If you're going to be a mover, be a mover. Don't do a MLM. Be the best damn mover that you can be, and always keep learning.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. I mean, what does they say about 10,000 hours? It takes 10,000 hours to be proficient, to in a job or
Yeah,
something like
kind
that.
of like how the great Bruce Lee says that um he doesn't fear the man who knows 10,000 kicks, but he fears a man that knows one kick uh because they did it 10,000 times,
Right.
something like that, right?
Yeah. 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 Yeah, he's not afraid of the man who can do uh he can punch 1,000 different punches, but he fears the man that does one punch 1,000 times. So
Yeah, yeah. So those are those are the people who I want to emulate, and I don't mess around with people who have multiple businesses.
mhm,
Um, I really don't believe in the multiple income thing.
mhm,
I believe that there's a lot of distractions,
mhm,
and there's a lot of misinformation on YouTube, like saying, "Oh, you need 7 types of incomes to be really super successful." No, I think they master something first, and then they use that to go ahead and generate some passive income, which is a long-term game. Great, and now you can move on to something else. But uh,
mhm,
this this is not the right information because you're showing someone's level 20 to a bunch of people who have not even started at level 1 yet. And I think
mhm.
that's also what's wrong with the influencer community that I don't like about YouTube. So I make sure that since I don't like it, I'm I'm gonna focus on stuff that would help me out because I'm not a level 20. I don't even think I've passed level 1 yet. But when I do, I'll go ahead and go to what's gonna help me out at that time in that stage of my career in my life.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Okay, good. So let's talk about work-life balance. What do you do? What
I
how do
don't
you
believe in
balance
work-life balance. I really don't, Jay.
okay.
I believe that if you start a business with your husband, your wife, your kids, and make them all part of it, then you have a pretty powerful business because not everyone is willing to go out and do that. And being an entrepreneur, you get the freedom of being able to work when you want. And this means that when it's time for vacation and reaping some of your fruits of your labor, then you can go ahead and take off Fridays and Saturdays, just like what normal people do. You're not on hospitality anymore, and you can take extended stays in places and make it a work trip.
Mhm,
And that's also how we met a lot of other like-minded people who are more successful than we are, like how I visited Three Men Movers. I visited um other moving companies. Uh, in fact, Headband Movers is coming over here, so shout out to DJ, and he's going to look at my operation. And I had a plan to visit two college brothers. Didn't happen this time, but the next time it will be when I go down to Jacksonville, and I can meet my freight broker over there, who sends us containers and international HHG jobs. HHG meaning household goods.
Mm-hmm. All right, excellent. I kind of agree with you on work life balance. If you're going to start a business, it's like you got to put a lot of time and effort. So if you got a family, you got to sit down with your family and tell them, hey, here's the deal. I'm going to start a business. That means I'm not going to be with you. It's sort of like the Dave Ramsey method when you're trying to get out of debt. You're doing everything to get out of debt. Once you're out of debt, then you can start, relaxing some stuff, right? So
Yeah, and we happen to live in a wonderful time where you don't have to go to an office. We're not like, look at this, man. This is my office right now. My office is this truck.
right,
Um, my phone's with me, my iPad is with me. I'm ready to work. Okay, and that's the same thing we bring when we're on vacation, because the phone calls don't stop just because you're on vacation. Your guides don't stop working just because you're on vacation. So that's one great thing about living in 2023 versus even starting when you had a company, because you were constrained more by the technology of your time.
right. Right. Yeah, exactly. All right. So let's talk a little bit about you personally, shall we? Let's get into that. So what's some of your hobbies and interests? What do you do? What do you do outside of when you're not working? What is it that you like to do?
If I'm not listening to audiobooks and I'm not working out, then I'll spend 20 hours a month on playing video games. Uh, I don't play Call of Duty. It's gonna be um, it's gonna be some nerdy stuff like playing RPGs like Fallout, or I'm going to be playing fantasy football. So, sports are something I'm very, very passionate about, which is why I can implement something that we're passionate about into our business. So this way, it will never get boring. I will be a very old man, but I will still always love sports, still always love the entertainment of playing some video games, and most importantly, with the people that I love.
Yeah, I'm actually proud to be a Lions fan again. For a long time there.
They're 8-2. That was a
Woo,
fantastic win. I thought they were going to lose today. That was a scare.
they got close. They were down by a lot before they came rallied back. At what, like 4 minutes left of the game, and they came back and got what 20 some points or 17 points or something like that. It's just like, but yeah, I just like I'm happy to be a Lions fan finally. Like before I'd be like, no, I'm not a Lions fan. I could care less.
I mean, but isn't that also hard? I think because you're in Lansing, you're probably a Michigan State fan too. But at least
No,
one of your teams is doing well.
I'm not really a big sports guy. I follow in the Lions only because I don't know. I had a roommate that was into sports like you were, and I was like, okay, good. So I'll follow him, but I don't watch the games, and I don't bet on the games. I'm not like I don't know the stats. I think I know two players on the team, Amon St. Ra and Golf or whatever his first name is, and Dan Campbell, the coach. As far as Michigan State, they were great under Dan Antonio, but other than that, you know,
Oh man,
it's just other than that,
Tanner
I
Faulkner
don't.
is lighting it up over in yeah, over in Seattle right now as running back. So that's a good person to emulate.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of professional people. Kirk Cousins, who's
Oh, I
is in
forgot
the
about him. That's true.
he was the quarterback for Michigan State for a while. There's a bunch of guys that went to the pros from Michigan State. I mean, they haven't produced as much as like Michigan has, but they've produced some good people. Do you know what I mean? Of course, Michigan are the biggest player to come out of Michigan, the GOAT, Tom Brady.
Yep, absolutely. And he's a success story that's made possible from going through adversity.
Wasn't he like the 10th round draft pick or some stupid thing like that?
Yeah, I think it was 262, or I believe is what his pick number was. but he was the fourth string quarterback, and then after injuries, Drew Bledsoe, he he never got off the field because he made it a declaration that he will never get off the field, and
Yep.
and he never did. Won Super Bowls with the Patriots and the Buccaneers, and he's such a celebrity among his own team when he was a Buccaneer that his teammates would leave stuff behind so they way he could sign it for their kids and all.
Yeah.
And when he got picked off by the 49ers last year, Fred Warner got an autograph, and I thought, man, what a wholesome moment. That is so cool. He grew up as a Niners fan too, and so when you go through the autobiographies of uh, famous athletes and also coaches or because Jay, I don't do Hollywood gossip. I think it's garbage. But if you're into that, great. I'm hoping that you can get some value and inspiration out of it instead of jealousy, because if you can learn from people who have done it and were under many adversities like Tom Brady, you look at them as, hey, if he can do it, why can't I do that?
Yeah.
Here's a guy that was probably the most unathletic guy during the draft. He looked like a pedestrian, and he ended up to be the greatest of all time. And he shows leadership qualities don't come from being the most fit guy or being the most athletic, but he
Right.
probably studied harder than everybody else.
Right. I mean, and I don't mean to get so too controversial, but you take Tom Brady, who was like 10th round draft pick or whatever he was, right? He was the fourth string quarterback, right? That just
1999
right,
was when he was drafted, and he became
right,
the and he was the last one to leave of his draft class because he only retired last year.
right. And he was fourth string quarterback that just happened to get lucky that everybody was wounded, right? And you take somebody who's took all that everything and just kept his mind focused and worked and worked and worked and worked, because he worked his, even back then, even people say he worked his butt off, right? And then you contrast him to someone like Colin Kaepernick, who's just nothing but a whiny childish baby who thinks he deserves to be in the NFL when he's a crap player, right?
Yeah,
So
and I agree with you on that. Kaepernick was actually my classmate back at Nevada Reno, and he's not the same guy that he was when he got drafted into league, and he was a great elite athlete at the time, but he is not good enough to be in a league. There's a reason why he's not there.
yeah, well, it's one. There's a lot of reasons why he's there. One is that he's good. He's just not NFL good, right?
Right.
He,
Well, it also doesn't help that because he took a knee, that's very polarizing to veterans
right. And
and to
as a
people
veteran,
who
I
love
found that
America.
very right. As
Yeah.
a veteran, I found that to be very insulting. You know, and he has
Right.
every right to do it. But I still, and he has every right, and I'll defend his right to do it and say whatever he wants to say. And with my life, I'll lay my life down for him to do it. But that doesn't make it any less insulting, and it doesn't mean I'm going to support him in any manner or way. Right? I have the, like he has the right to do it and take a knee. I have a right to dislike the guy for doing that and be insulted by that. Right?
Hmm. Of course.
So so I mean, if you're going to take a stand, there's a time and place, and that you say you're a Christian. I'm a Christian. All right. There's what's that the famous verse? The band, the Birds wrote a song. There's a time for love and a time for war, time for peace, and you know what I mean. You know,
Oh, yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
right? There's a time for everything. You know what I mean. There's a time to plant, and then there's a time to sow, right? Or to reap rather. It's like he chose the wrong time. He just chose the wrong avenue and the wrong time. I get what he was trying to do, and by all means, he probably has some valid uh, valid concerns, and that's fine, absolutely. But don't do it where you're going to insult the people that are supporting you, right? Because the NFL, and it's like you and I in business, we have a
Hmm.
certain target audience. We're not going to then insult our target audience. You know what I'm saying? That would be
Hmm.
stupid. if we did that, we would go out of business. And that's exactly what happened to him. He insulted his target core audience, right? Instead of taking it off the field and into a public area, and he had the platform to do it, he could have done that with Nike outside of football. He could have done that, in his own time on his own platforms, but he chose to use a platform which will alienate 80% of the people in that stands that support he was unsupportive of the people that support what he didn't support. So, it's just,
I agree with you there. I really think he should have wrote a book, because this is an academician who was very good at school, believe it or not. He believed what he believed in and went to poetry slams, and he was actually the same guy back in college as he portrayed in the NFL. But if you're going to be working for the NFL, then you got to follow the rules, or you got to face the consequences.
It's not necessarily following the rules. It's about knowing who you're talking to, right?
Yeah, I just don't think that I just don't think that he really thought about the consequences very well. And then when the consequences came, he's like, oh no, I'm now I'm now following the consequences have arrived. How will I get back in?
Right,
So
exactly.
that's really unfortunate to see such a fantastic athlete fall from grace just because of that. That's
Right.
why he's never going to get in. There was a time when during his peak, he was a better quarterback than Ryan Fitzpatrick. He had more touchdowns than his interceptions in the year, but he should have known. It's like, hey, I don't think I'm welcome back in the league. These owners and these coaches and these fans, uh, they don't want anything to do with the smoke that I created. They don't want none of that smoke.
Right. Yeah. It's just, there's a lot of business lessons there, right? That you could
Yeah,
extrapolate and put into your business. First, you don't alienate your target audience. You choose the right platform at the right time, right? And you keep your activism separate from your business, right? Um, and it's just like, you could be an activist. You could be someone who goes out there and campaigns for justice and righteousness and stuff. And hooray for you! Just don't do it on. You just got to do it on the right platform at the right time, right? And that's all I'm saying. And you take that and you extrapolate that for business. I'm not going to go to a part. I'm not going to go and start. If I'm a labor only, and 85% of my business is apartment moves, I'm not going to then go and start slamming people who live in apartments as being, backwards redneck, folks that hate America or whatever it is. I mean, that would be stupid. Nobody would want to use me. Why would they want to use somebody that hates me? Right. So,
man, most of my customers are conservative people. I'm an independent voter, and that part they can see when they look at my name. It's like, oh, he's a libertarian. Oh, he signed up to be a Democrat or Republican. And that part doesn't really matter as long as you know what boundaries to talk about. That's why they say to not talk about religion and politics in there, but that's why talking about sports can unify people, where these polarizing things, they separate us apart, and you don't want to be that divisive, even though you have opinions. Like
mhm,
you and I have different political opinions. We've talked about it before,
mhm,
when we're off the cuff, and I don't agree with 100% of the things that you believe in, and you don't either. But the fact that we respect each other, and that's why you invited me to your podcast too.
right. Right. Yeah. And it's not even about political differences. I'm just trying to make that and turn that into a business lesson. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You
there's a lot to
just
be learned from other people's downfalls,
right. And
right.
and I'm not, and I really don't want to turn this political. I just trying to say, hey, he's, you know, he had a platform. He could have used his platform in a different way, in a different manner. And
Yep.
like he didn't do that. We can learn from that and go, how do we put that and apply that to our business? Well, we have a platform, and if we have some sort of thing that we're passionate about, good. And if that could be controversial to your core demographic, maybe not, don't use your business as a the platform or the vehicle to do your activism or whatever it is, or whatever you're going to do. Put that somewhere else where it won't affect your business, right? So that you
Right.
still have your business, right? And that's all I'm saying. All right, so I think we're coming to the end. I just kind of, I want to find out a little bit more about your future plans if you got some time here. um what is the next steps for 87 movers? What are your next steps?
Man, we're falling short a little bit of our annual goal because we didn't expect that we would fall this short. So realigning our goals, we're gonna still meet our fourth quarter goal. We just completed a very big move, and we're very fortunate to have that, especially because we had our Google My Business shut down for 48 hours, and
Mm,
because Nick is so great and helped us recover it, no damage was really done to our reputation. We have already taken the steps to become the best social media movers in Nevada, because that's going to be social media 2.0, where I already have a plan helped out from AI, what people are searching for when they're asking about moving questions,
mhm,
because you can be a big value to your customers. Even if they don't book you now, they will refer other people to you, be like, I didn't book with this young man. He's very knowledgeable. He's too damn expensive for me.
mhm,
But I learned a lot from watching his Instagram.
mhm,
I learned what I want by looking at his videos, and more people will look at that, because we want to create evergreen content. So this way, this is part of the plan to leave a legacy behind that outlasts myself and Kathy, meaning that we still have our revenue goals we want to hit next year. Um, we want to become a seven-figure moving company, and that's going to take a lot of organization. And because we're very, very picky on how we're going to assign people to different roles and become our leaders,
mhm,
I'm imagining that we will have a truck named after every single day of the week by 2028. Right now, we have Sunday and Monday, um, otherwise known as Domingo and Miércoles. And then we're going to expand over to Reno. That's my hometown, because I want to serve my family and my friends, and all of those goals have to align to what's going to happen, in 12 months, 24 months,
mhm,
24 years. And it's hard to look that far in advance, but if football players think about things in 20 years in advance, I don't see why your business cannot.
mhm. Right. Okay. All right. Good. So that kind of leads me into the next question, which is great. It was like, so what's your long term vision for the company? I mean, you already mentioned that you want to start, you know,
uh,
scaling
a
out the
warehouse would
people.
be fantastic,
Hmm.
where we can offer a space where we can have like a university. I like what Big G Movers is doing. Shout out
Hmm.
to Tammy. I'd like to meet her next time that I go out to New Jersey, and she says she'd have me, because she's empowering her guys to learn lessons from vendors, and that's how to become better fathers and better husbands. I really think that would be fantastic, and it's like a farm to show, hey, who's ready for leadership? Who's
Hmm.
thinking about how to become a better person? If you're willing to become a better person, you should be very easily able to coach and be coachable to others. That's what that shows me, and this means that you're willing to become a reader, probably a leader in the future. Um, I want that type of space for other business owners, even if we don't offer vault storage, because I'm very committed to units, and I would like to own a part of the company. I already made it a declaration. I said I don't have a lot of money, but I have a lot of ambition and a lot of heart, and for what it's worth, we will have the money to get it, because we have the attitude as if we're already there.
Excellent. Excellent. All right, man. That's really all the questions I have for you, and I really appreciate your time. Before, I want to give this time. Do you got any questions you want to ask of me?
Yeah, Jay, um I'm hoping that you could scrub some of the stuff before, but in seriousness though,
I'll keep the
the
truly personal stuff off. I'll make sure I edit it.
okay, all right, cool. So um questions to you are, um what do you plan to do in the next year with 7FMA? And also, why did you give control over to Travis? Travis is a nice guy, but I'm not understanding the entire thing.
Um, all good questions. Why? Let's start with your last question first. Why did I turn over control? Quite honestly, um, um, I, I needed the money. Quite
Oh,
honestly,
okay.
I just needed the money. I'm kind of regretting that now. Um, just because that group is now turning into, from my point of view, is just turning
It's
into
turning
nothing but,
spammy, unfortunately,
yeah.
and I don't
That's
I'm not
exactly.
really liking it.
Yeah, it's just there's one guy who keeps promoting his moving company services in the group. Like, dude, why are you doing this?
He's a
And then
bonehead. I already replied and told him that this is the wrong place to do that.
Everybody's
There's two people actually.
right, and then now everybody's promoting their stuff in it. Um, and two, I didn't want to say, but Travis told me the other day, or about a month ago, he says, I don't want you posting in the group anymore. It confuses people. You post too much. And I'm like, dude, I started this group. People are in this group because of me. People come to this group because of my videos. The last thing you should be doing is telling me not to post in the group. So, anyway, so that is what it is. My plans, quite honestly, I want to focus more on my YouTube, and see if I can't make a goal out of that. Like really really concentrate on the YouTube and see if I can't do that, because I don't really want to be a mover. I'm too old now. My back is all messed up. Um, but I sold my company, and you know, because of inflation and everything, how much I sold it for didn't last as long as I thought it was going to last. Um, or it is not going to last as long as I thought it would last. So, I'm now to the point where I've got some good money in the bank. Don't get me, I'm still paying my bills, but there's not a lot left. You know what I mean? I'm trying not to use it as much as I possibly can. Um, so I only try to use it. So I'm trying to just make money just like everybody else. So I don't, without dipping into my savings, because that was meant for my savings for my retirement, basically. And sadly, because of inflation and everything going up, it's looking more and more. So that's why I'm doing the challenge. One, to see if do I still have it? Can I still do it? Do I still have the energy? Can I, can I still prove to people that I can do this challenge? Thing. And I think it would be I think it'd be great content, right? Because there's really nobody out there who's showing what they're doing. There's one guy in Denver who's just a clown when it comes in, goes, yo, 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 yo. Like, come on, dude, just knock it off. You're supposed to be professional, act professional, right? That doesn't mean you can't joke around. That doesn't mean you can't thing. I like his energy. I like his charisma, but come on. At the same time, you're not a gangster. Stop acting like a gangster. You're not.
Yeah, all G'd up and
You're a
also
middle-aged
using
white
ebonics
dude.
possibly, right?
Right. You're a middle-aged white dude that was at one time in the Navy. So you're not a gangster. You're not a tough guy. Stop trying to act like you're all hip and into it, right? You're supposed to be a professional.
I know who you're talking about too. Yeah, I won't
And
say it,
it's
but
just
I
like,
know.
yeah, I don't want to mention names, but it's just like, come on, dude. Um, so there's really nobody out there really, going, okay, here's step one, here's step two. Again, like I told you before, I want to take it right down to the basics. What the very first things, like we talked about earlier. Here's the football. This is a football. You know what I mean? And just go and take it one step at a time and actually document the success and or failure of if I make it or not. And if I'm a failure, that still could be a training, hey, and I'm sure I'm going to get people, oh, I know all about moving and you should have done, and that'll be great. So it'll help me learn. It'll help everybody else learn. So, at the same time, I'm hoping I get some haters, slamming on me, because, if as long as it's constructive criticism, you can hate on me all you want. As long as it's, forwards the mission. And the guys who love me, I think people who are on this channel, a lot of people who come to this channel are looking for information on how to start and build and run a 7-figure moving academy. I think this would be good for them, because then they go, oh, okay. Oh, wow. Yeah, Jay had a great idea. I see what when he said this on this video back in 2016, this is what he was talking about. Oh my God, that makes more sense. You know what I'm saying? So I kind of want to put some mass with the theory, some practical and some mass with the significance, if you will. So that's kind of my goal in that,
Okay. Well, I'm looking forward to it. I know that with YouTube you can do long form content with that, but if you try to do it with social media like Instagram, it's hard to convey that in 15-second little digestible clips.
But
So
here's the
that's,
thing about that,
yeah, because
though.
people want highlights. They don't want to they actually don't respond to things that they have to be very good or very bad. Like, oh my God, I almost lost my moving company because of this, or this is the biggest move ever in the history of
See,
my company.
that I disagree with you there completely and utterly, and I'll tell you why. And
Okay.
first of all, long form content is reigning king. If you look at some of the big people out there, long form content is the thing. Even Mr. Beast is doing long form content, and he's considered long form content because he's doing his content's more than 10 to 15 minutes. A lot of his content is 20 minutes, 29 minutes, half hour, right? That's considered long form content.
Yeah,
Right?
I'm addicted to his content. I
Right.
know.
Right. And
I
then you've
just
got
but
Joe
I also noticed that
Rogan.
he's not very successful on Instagram too, though. It's, I mean, he still has millions, but it's not great like
Right.
YouTube.
No, I get it. But you got Joe Rogan, you've got Lex Friedman, you've got
Alex
Jordan,
Hormozy.
Alex Hermosi, Cody Sanchez, you've got Ryan Pineda, who's in your hometown, by the way.
Yeah, Patrick Bet-David.
Patrick Bet-David, you got Graham Stephan, all these guys are doing long form content, and their channels are blooming up. There's a guy who's doing nothing but bodybuilding, and he does a video every single day, and his videos are at least an hour long each. Right. And he's got 1 million something. And so people who say, oh, people lose interest in long form, and you got to have it in 30 seconds or less. And they've got their heads up their butt. Right. Just how many people are out there? You're a big sports fan. How many people will go on a Sunday and watch a 2-hour football game? Right. How many people?
Man, I'm spending a lot of money to watch the New Year's Day game with my Niners versus the Commanders. So there's that.
Exactly. So that's long form content, right?
Yeah,
Who will sit
true.
there
Okay.
and, who will go and go to the movie theater and watch a 2 to 3 hour movie? That's long form content. So people say, well, you can't do long form content, blah, blah. That's just completely BS. Completely and utter. Man, there are people that just sit there and there's a whole thing called Netflix and chill. That's about, other things, but primarily it's watching Netflix and binge watching Netflix shows, hours of Netflix shows, and just binge watching them, right? So to say that long form content is dead, I just want to slap them, because there's so many examples of long form content out there that just completely decimates any argument. That said, short form content is also very good. I've done a lot of YouTube shorts, and a lot of my YouTube shorts get a lot of views. But they get a lot of views, but they don't perform. They don't bring in the traffic back as my long form content. Like, I'll go and post this. This is like, we're almost at 2 hours right now. I guarantee I'll make far more money on Google ad spend. I'll answer a lot of questions that people have. Right. And so there's that thing. And the guys who don't want to sitting through a 2 hour podcast episode about business, great. What I'll do is then eventually throughout this year, I'll be chopping this up into bite-sized pieces, and I'll put it on. I'll put it on the TikToks, the Instagram, the Facebook Reels, the Twitters and all that. And and they will go. I'll take a bit of this thing, and I'll cut it down to 30 seconds to 45 seconds, and I'll put it on TikTok. I'll put it on Instagram. I'll put it on Facebook, and I'll get it. And basically, the only thing I'm going to do with that content is drive them to this content that's on YouTube. And then from YouTube, they'll be driven to my website. Right?
Good. I'm really glad that you see value in TikTok. That's actually my best social media.
TikTok. I hate those communists.
But hear me out, though. I only have 100 followers, but it actually made more money for us in 2022 and this year than Instagram. And I just think people have more money on TikTok. And
I don't know that they have more money
by finding us on TikTok first. They actually don't even follow us. Like I took inventory of the people who have found us on social media and book us, and it's actually only 5% that are our followers. Yeah, I think it's really wild that that's the way that social media works, and I'm really grateful for the 9 customers that have booked us on TikTok this year, and that's 9 customers we wouldn't have had. And I'm also grateful for the 13 Instagram customers that booked us this year because of that platform. To TikTok moves were more profitable.
Right. Okay. And here's what I got to say about TikTok. And I hate TikTok only because I hate communism. I'm just lividly and passionately and vehemently against communism in all of its facets. I hate communist even in America, and America's turning very communistic. But that said, here's what I think about TikTok. TikTok is new. It's the new guy. It doesn't have as many people on that platform as Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or any of those other places. So the fact that you're making more money, which is awesome, don't get me wrong. One, it's you're finding more success because there's less traffic and less noise to have to battle through than if you were on Facebook, right? And Facebook and Instagram,
I think so.
They throttle a lot of your content, believe it or not. So if you do a Facebook post on it, right, you're only maybe 25% of your people's ever going to see it on their feed, right? Because Facebook actually literally throttles your content, right? TikTok is not doing it. So there's less people there. You have more chances to see and get more eyeballs. So I think it's not that TikTok is you're making more money necessarily. You're just you're able to get more people to see the eyeballs, right? And
okay, I think you're right. I didn't look at it that way, but I've heard about only 20% of your followers see your stuff, and then 20% more people that are not following you see your stuff too on the Meta platforms.
Right, you got that, but TikTok doesn't throttle you.
Right.
So even if you got 100 things, they're still new. They want to give you as many followers as you possibly can. They want to have as many people. So they're actually pushing people to watch your TikToks or whatever you want to call them, right? They want the viewership, right? They're at that stage in life. They're the progression of stages, right? Whereas Facebook, YouTube, they're at the top. They're actually kind of throttling down because there's so much content, right, that they have to throttle. They have to kind of control the flow. TikTok is still, hey, let's just throw everything at the wall and see what sticks kind of mentality, right?
But what they're throwing at us is it's making brain dead men. They're just showing us asses and boobs on TikTok. So I'm not.
Guess what? Instagram. That's how Instagram started. That's how Twitter started. That's how Facebook started. Facebook was actually about putting people in the colleges, putting their faces in all their pictures and their booty shots and stuff like that. That's how Facebook started. Then it eventually, as people got older and got more then the people like me came on Facebook, right, and started using Facebook. So it is TikTok is still in that growth space where it's just, it's going, but it's quickly evolving and maturing into a platform that's going to be a much more mature platform, right? Because you got people like Ryan Pineda, Cody Chance, Alex Ramosi that are doing stuff on TikToks now, right?
Yeah.
And they're doing really well. So they're getting out of the stupid dance stuff, and girls doing the twerking, doing twerk dances and stuff like that. It's maturing, but it's, and as it matures, right, the less and less your TikToks are going to be substantial and effective, right? Because it's just that, it's just a natural swing, right? Twitter started the same way, Facebook, Instagram, etc. So you're just into that acceleration curve where it's just starting to get into that phase, and as soon as it's going to take off, and it's just going to go, right. That is if our Congress doesn't ban it from the country, because they really are trying to do that. No, I'm not
If
even
TikTok
joking.
gets canceled, I'll at least remember that there was a goofy a little social network by China that was trying to brainwash Americans and showing titties and showing ass, and then the Chinese version was actually showing educational stuff that we should be showing our kids.
Exactly. So I mean, it is what it is. There's a reason
Right.
why China's having that debauchery on TikTok in America and in the West versus what they're doing in their own
Right.
country. You know what I mean? They're hypocrites when it comes down to it. You know what I mean? They're doing that for a reason and purpose, and and our young people are into it. Now, what I would suggest, if you're going to do TikTok, I would really suggest find out from your social media what the demographics of each social media platform is. For instance, and I'll give you an example. TikTok tends to skew very young, like the teenagers to the low 20s and so on and so forth. On average, that doesn't mean people in their 30s or even 40s are not on TikTok. I'm just saying it skews young, right?
Right.
And then, as you get into Instagram is probably going to skew a little bit more mature, like mid 20s to mid 30s, kind of. And then Facebook is going to skew from about 30s to, up in my age. And then YouTube's all over the place, but they still tend to be a more mature audience, YouTube, right? That doesn't mean a lot of people don't want to be in YouTube. You'll see kids go, I want to be a YouTuber, not really knowing what it takes to be a YouTuber, right? But the point being is I think you really should sit down and on all these different platforms and actually find the commonalities of all the platforms, right? And find out what those demographics skew to, right? Ages, educational level, income levels, hobbies and stuff like that. And once you have that, then you've got a good portrait of what those different platforms are, right? So now you can create an avatar, and then you can start creating your market. You're creating market campaigns towards those specific demographics, right? Because, for instance, youngsters, or the young thing, they're probably going to be college kids. They might, and if they're in college, they might be in like a dorm room or in a shared housing. If you're lucky, they've got their own apartment if their mommy and daddy are rich enough, right? So these are probably going to be people that are going to want. They're going to want 2 moves a year, which if they're in the college, you know what I'm saying, they're going to want one when they move in and when they move out of college for the summer. Right, they're going to want short-term storage. They're going to, you know what I mean. They're going to want a cheap, because most of them, they won't be rich, but they're also not going to be poor. But so they're going to want something that's very affordable to move them in and out into storage. So they're going to want solutions like temporary boxes, like baby totes, right? That something that you can rent totes for and so on. So finding out these various demographics, then you can start creating resources to sell them, as well as give them the proper message. Because I'm not going to market the same way to the same demographic as I would to somebody who lives in an executive home, right? Ryan Pineda is very rich. I'm going to market my services very differently to him than I would to somebody who's in college and just has is in a dorm or in shared housing. Does this make sense?
That makes sense.
So
I,
my
I guess
mess.
the I guess the one that I have the most trouble with is LinkedIn. I made only $200 in the 41 months we've been on LinkedIn.
Well,
It's a total garbage platform for the but maybe because I don't know how to use it, and of the 25 leads we got from it, only one closed. So it's totally um not a loss, but it just seems like I was like, man, I really hate this platform. But some of my customers want to see me on there. That's why I'm on there. Not a
yeah,
problem.
yeah.
I didn't spend any money on it, and at least it's just a way to link back to my website.
Good, and that if that's all you use it for, that's just as fine. But you got to understand too, LinkedIn is business to business. So people who are going to be looking for your services are not necessarily people that are going to be moving from residential. They're going to be, if they're going to move, right? They're going to probably commercial or corporate moves, right? Another thing you want to use LinkedIn for is like a BNI group, is that you want to start scraping LinkedIn for like human resource officers, real estate agents, loan brokers, appraisers, home decor people, people that do home decor, right? Because these are the people that are going to be having the people that you want. So if you use LinkedIn like a BNI, you start doing and you scrape their names, their emails, their phone numbers, and then you start contacting and you start promoting to them how what you could do for their clients. The better, I think that's going to be more beneficial if you're just doing residential, because people are not going to be looking for residential moves per se. You will probably might get one or two like you said, like you had, but if you did more like, hey, I'm Tony, I'm with 87 movers, here's our story, that was a great story at the beginning of this video, right? Here's my story, and you can get with Nick and use AI and kind of craft a good written story from your story, why you came up with 87, because I never knew that. This is the first I heard about it was today, and I think that was that's a great story. And if you craft that story and say, hey, this is what we're about, right? And then you start you finding out who, when you do a move, find out who the realtor is, who their loan broker is, who all the people that help get them this new home. And then you create a little video with them, right? Or if they write a review, you copy and you take a screenshot of that review if it's written, and you email it to Mary Jo at Remax Realtors, right? And you go, hey, here, Mary Jo, I just want to let you know I moved Sally Jane and her husband Billy Bob, right, and their two kids and their dog, and this is what they had to say about 87 movers. Boom, right? Now maybe they see the first one and they're like, oh, that's great, and they might give you a head nod or something, But if you've done that like 10 times, they're going to go, oh shit, 87 movers, man. These guys are like amazing. You know what I'm saying? Now you're starting to get referrals, and now you're creating that perpetual, everlasting, evergreen referral source, right? And if you just concentrate, and if that's how that's every platform has a different group, and I think, and I don't know what you did, but I'm assuming that you tried to use LinkedIn like you're using Facebook or Google PPC or something like that, versus using it for what it really is more of a referral, more of a networking group. Maybe I'm wrong, and you correct me if I am, but that's kind of what I'm.
No, you're right, Jay. I haven't cracked the code, even though I'm listening to Gary Vee's audiobooks over and over about what LinkedIn is about, and I know he's really good at LinkedIn, especially for something that you would think would not work very well for LinkedIn, which is for his family's wine business, and then for teaching others how to use the platform. But yeah, I'll let
Let
you
me
know.
let me say this
It's
about
something
Gary Vee.
I don't know how to cultivate. I think what I'm doing is I'm using Instagram for what you are saying, but I never thought about when we get a 5-star review, why don't we ever tell the realtor? That's a missed opportunity that we actually don't do. I've because I do follow realtors as I'm following certain hashtags,
Mhm.
and I'm making sure that I'm seen in them as well. But yeah, this has been a good year in social media. We have hit our goal already in middle of the year to double up the lead sources from social media, and that's really really important because man, we were going to be slow if we only because it would not be fair to Nick tomorrow to only rely on SEO. We need to always be marketing, always in every instance that we can as entrepreneurs, and that's something that I think why a lot of people fail.
Yeah. And
They only depend on one source, and it's not fair to him. It's not fair to us.
right, exactly. And I think if you're going to use social media, make sure that you're using social media right. Make sure that you know the demographics of the platform, and
Right.
craft your marketing campaign around that major demographic. That doesn't mean there's not going to be outliers. There's not going to be exceptions to the rule, but your majority of your target audience for that particular platform, right? Like I said, I'm not going to target on TikTok people who want to do executive moves when most of them are going to be college kids, right? That doesn't mean you can't do one here and there and test it out, right? And see if it does, you know what I mean? Especially as TikTok matures. But it's for the most part, it's the wrong audience. It's the wrong target audience, the wrong demographic, right? So if you you get a marketing campaign for each platform, and then you can then you can uh then you can really concentrate on where the big money is, because then now you can start testing, oh, this campaign versus this campaign, can you mix and match? And that's why I'm doing long form content, because I'm going to be able to split up my long form content and turn it into content that's good for a specific platform. So like if I split this up, I'm not going to have whatever I put on Facebook, I'm not going to do on TikTok too. I'm going to do it in a different. I'm going to spin it in a different manner and make it, thing. And that's what Alex Hormozy. If you follow Alex Hormozy, he does it too. He'll take his content, and then he'll have basically the same content for like a short or YouTube short or Facebook reel, Instagram reel, or TikTok. He'll have the same things, but he'll edit them just slightly different to match the different platforms, demographics, right? And if you do that, I think you'll have a better effect. Something you should test, something you get with Nick on and work out. But I think that you'll find a better ROI if you do it that way, right? And then I think you do more vlogging for YouTube, more vlogs about YouTube, and going about your day and so on and so forth. And don't try to be, kitschy. Don't try to be, don't force charisma. Don't force anything. Just show what you're going through. Hey, if you're having a hard day, like we started this thing out, and you went through some frustrations. We won't get into on this video, but we get some
Yep.
frustrations. You can air your frustrations. People want to see that. It just makes you more relatable. And of course, you got to be comfortable doing that. Me, I have no problem. I have no shame. I don't care. You can see my foibles all the time, right? I make mistakes. I mean, how many videos have I said, man, dude, I screwed up, man. I made a mistake. I've done a lot of videos where I have admitted to that I was wrong on something, right? And
Yeah. Out of respect of some of my movers, because some of them do follow my social media, I have to be very mindful that it's also not just them that's looking at what we're doing. Sometimes they're kids that want to see their dad is moving heavy stuff, and it makes them happy. And they actually
yeah,
like being in the videos, and then they be like, oh, that's my husband. That's so cool.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
look how buff he looks.
Yeah, I mean, look at some of these these shows. Remember, there's the Diesel brothers, right? Who used to build diesel trucks and stuff like that, right?
Right, right.
You see some of these reality shows, and they show the lives of the different people in these different companies, right? So just think of your YouTube as a reality show, right? Where your crew is part of the cast. So maybe you'll cast one guy as the dumb, lovable, genial guy, if he agrees to it. versus, okay, this guy's the more serious dude. And then, you know what I mean? And then you could show the dichotomy of different personalities, and, and just kind of treat it that way. And then show your life with you and your fiance and your kids and so on, and your home life. And, oh my God, I had to work 16 hours today, man, my about ready to tear my hair out. Right. And talk to, and, YouTube for me has been sort of like therapy. Right. It helped me get out of my shell, helped me actually get out there and be able to go to networking groups and functions and actually talk to people. Right. Before, I was very, very introverted. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I was scared to talk to them. I'd be the guy in the corner that just sat there watching everybody.
Yeah. Well,
You know what I
I
mean?
guess I was kind of right about how I perceived that you didn't do very good at networking, but you're very good at marketing digitally. So that's it's really too bad you don't have a partner to go ahead and do this. Because I can't imagine if 87 Movers was just one woman named Kathy or one man named Tony, because I have to be honest that it wasn't done by one person. It's I think that she's a majority, but she also said that she can't do it without me either.
We'll see. There you go. That's the mutual respect. But yeah, shoot. And if, who knows, maybe, somebody will come around and say, hey, Jay, we want you to be part of our team, and I'd be like, oh, if it's a good enough offer, and, and it's right. And, I might, you know, I might just go and join a moving company or a marketing company. Who knows? Maybe Marcus and Nick
Maybe you
will
should
say,
join the Moving Titans to see if there's something you could do to be like a coach over there. That looks like it might be a fun opportunity for you.
maybe. Yeah, I'm not going to say much about that. I'm going to keep quiet.
Well,
Um,
they invited me and they said it's $4,000. I said, I don't think you guys understand. It's not the money. I can afford it now. I'm fine. I can't afford the time yet. I'm not there yet like you guys. Because I'm gonna be probably just making phone calls while I'm at the pool, and that's not a lot of fun to me. So, reach out to me when I'm a little bit more successful and have as many trucks as you guys have.
right. Yeah, and and that's great. That's a great group. I've heard good things, but it is very limited. You got to have a lot of money to go to it.
Right.
Um, and I'm glad that it's an alternate to that con artist in Arizona. Um, so
I don't know. I found some values in him, and I still ran into the same freaking problem where I was like, are these guys just like so successful over here that they don't have to answer any phone calls? And here I am, I keep having to leave the room and putting out fires. It was frustrating, and some things I was like, man, I read this from a book. He didn't say that, and these people are cheering for something they didn't read on. So I'll let you know that I there's things that I definitely agree and disagree with that guy that you're talking about.
yeah, yeah. I'm not going to name names, but
Right.
the people who know. Um, but and and to flagellate myself with my own adulation, if you will. Um, you know, everybody, all those people, the con artist in Arizona, the Titans group, pretty much every Facebook group is an owners group now out there. They all owe it to me. I'm the first. I'm the one who started it all. There was nobody doing it. And in fact, I was getting death threats by some of the big companies that you've heard about, saying that if they ever see me or see my trucks or see my crew, they're going to kick the living crap out of me. And if they're ever in the town, they're going to stop and burn my place down. I'm not joking.
Holy shit! I had no
Yeah,
idea you had those type of threats happen. I
I
know
laughed at them.
we're in a pretty cutthroat industry. They've
I,
done some shitty things to me too. Freaking haters.
yeah, they're just a bunch of keyboard warriors that spewing and
Right.
thinking they're be tough guy. I never really paid them attention because if anybody who's gonna do it isn't gonna give you a warning, they're just gonna go and if I'm going to fight you, I'm just going to come out and pop you in the mouth. I'm not going to say, hey, if you keep it up, I'm going to pop you in the mouth. Pop. No, that's some bitch ass backward street crap, that thing. No, nobody who's really tough is going to give you, and they're just going to do it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I wasn't worried about it, but some of the names that you've mentioned earlier today in this thing, and I've mentioned some of them. I've gotten emails when I first started because they didn't want me giving out this information, right? They didn't want me talking about it. They hated me for giving out any information that I would give a thing. And if you go in those groups and you ask about them, like especially the guy in Arizona, all you'll hear is about a bunch of haters hating on me. You know what I mean? But every one of them.
Well, I've spoken up in his group before, and I just keep getting censored, so I don't contribute anything anymore over to that group.
Yeah, it is what it is. It's just a bunch of haters. But that guy, he owes it. I was the first. He was following on my coattails. He did it better than me. Got to give him props. And kudos to him. He's very successful. But you know, I mean, I've talked about him before, you and I in private. But the point is, you know, I'm the one who really started this thing on social media, right? I'm the one who I was the first group of its kind, right? There was a lot of groups about like the labor list groups, right? That had tens of thousands of people, but there was no groups talking about, hey, come to this group, learn about moving, you know, discuss moving. Let's go over it, you know, let's be a group. I was the first group. Then there was the owners group and a couple other ones. You know what I mean? Then the Connors from Arizona created a group. Right. I'm the first one who started. I was the first YouTuber that actually said anything about it. Now you got every Tom, Dick, and Harry who thinks they got a box truck or a half rusted out pickup, thinks they're a mover. And they write how to start a moving company with $500 and 30 seconds flat, you know, and they'll get like 20,000
talking about. Those are cringeworthy.
Yeah. They'll get right. And then you watch the video and you're going, you're a scam. You're unlicensed, you're uninsured, you're just nothing but a scam. And they've got 20,000 people because, you know what I mean? And I don't want to call them out because if I call them out, then that's this is my lessons learned from the Colin Kaepernick lesson. I'm not going to go call them out because that's my target audience. So if I start making fun of them, then people who are their fans are then going to go, well, you're an a-hole and raw. And then I just lost that customer potentially, right? So basically I'll try to write something without making them look bad, say, well, you know, quite honestly, that's great you started this company, but you know, you're doing this illegally, and if you would have did this step, then you would have you'd be making, like, there's one guy goes, I made $10,000 in 30 days. I'm like, $10,000 30 days it took you? And he was bragging about it. I'm like, right? And he's got this huge channel. And he does this. And I'm like, $10,000? That's pittance. A labor-only guy just doing moving helper or hire a helper can make $10,000 in a month, right? And you're bragging about 10,000. That's not. You shouldn't be bragging. Yet people watch that video because he's got $10,000. Man, even in my first month of me actually running my business, I made like $25,000. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's like, are you kidding me? It's like when I first started running a move thing, my first, you know, when I started, I'm not talking when I did my labor only stuff, right? I'm talking when I did full service. My first month, I did $25,000, right? And then it quickly went up there. So, I mean, if you know anything about marketing, then you should be making more. But the point being is, you know, it's out there. I started it, and I'm going to take the bow because I did it, and I'm glad. I'm glad people are out there and doing better than me, right? And I've actually there are these groups now, Movie Titans. It's not my group. That's not who I'm targeting. My group are, you know, the new to small businesses that I want, that are not yet 7-figure moving companies. That's who my target audience is, right? Moving Titans, I've got my issues with them, but they're doing great things. I've heard nothing but good things about their retreat, but they're going after companies that are not my target demographic. Does that make sense?
It makes sense, and I think you owe it to your audience that it's time to think about doing an autobiography, even if it's only a chapter a month. Am I right about that?
I mean, that's a good idea, but I don't know what value that would bring to my audience. I mean, maybe you can enlighten me, but I don't know what kind of value that would bring. I mean, it's something I'll consider, but and if I can come up with an idea of why that would bring value to my core demographic, then I would consider better. Right now, I am working on some other books right now, which is because again, I'm going to start this moving business, so I'm starting up some books. So right now, I got 2 published books on Amazon. One is How Much Do Movers Cost and Other Moving Facts, and the other one is Save Money Moving, which is a book that teaches you all the ways to save money and make, have a good move. Another one I'm going to be talking about is the 20 questions you need to ask a mover, right? To have a perfect move, and so on and so forth. And then I'm probably going to do one about the different scams that you can run into as a mover. I want to do this because I want to create what's called those lead magnets, and I want to offer them something substantial, because that's what's going to set me apart from other moving companies. Other moving companies, if they do offer a lead magnet like a checklist, it's a downloadable, and it's not, you know what I'm saying, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with it,
Okay.
and I definitely recommend it. But why not have? I want to be able to go to somebody's door, knock on the door, tick, 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 right, and go, "Hi, I'm Jay, and I'm with whatever moving company I decide to name it, and I wrote this
Oh, I
book."
saw your postcard. It's right
Right?
here.
Yeah. Well, see, in lieu of a postcard, I want to send them a book. Right
Okay.
now, I've done this already with another moving company that's in my area. Right. Um, and I was doing it as a test. I walked up to him one day, and I knew him, and so I met him one day, and I said, "Hey, I'd like to do this test with you." He was a brand new guy, didn't really know his head from his ass, and I said, "Hey, look, I'll give you free consulting if you will help me run this test." And he was like, "Sure." And he saw my video, so he knew who I was, and we started doing it. So I took these tests, and I took 25 books, right, which was only my Save Money Moving book. I didn't have my other book at the time, but I took 25 of my Save Money Moving books, which is my first book in the series. And I said, okay, we're going to create a list, right? And we went to one of the top postcard companies and got a list of everybody from the MLS, right? And I said, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to go to everybody on this list. I'm actually going to go to their house. And I'm going to knock on their door. You're going to come with me, right? And so we did, and we went and knocked on everybody's door for 25 people, right? And we chose the group. We chose the high middle income to exclusive homes that were for sale, and we knocked on them. And I think 5 people opened the door, and I said, "Hi, I'm Jay, and this is so and so, and we're with XYZ company, and we just wanted to let you know, we see that you're selling your home. You're looking at potentially get a mover. Did you already contact any moving companies so far?" And most of them said, "Yeah, we've talked to 1 or 2." And I'm like, "Okay, very good. Have you chosen a moving company?" And they said no. And I'm like, "Awesome." I go, "I wrote this book. I'm a veteran mover. I've been in the moving business for 13 years, and I've moved people all over the country, and I'm helping him to start his company. And I wanted, I'm training him on showing what to do. I thought here's a book I wanted to give to you. I want you to read the book. It should only take you an hour to read." And that's true. It should only take an hour to read, right? Just look it over. And if it's something that's interesting, please give him a call when you're ready. Right. And now out of everybody else that we didn't reach, we mailed the book to them with a little card that I got from Staples. Little, right? It's like a little, almost like a postcard, but it was something you can write on. Said, "Hi, we're so and so. This is our website. Here's our phone number. Here's a free book for you. If you're interested in movie services, give us a call. Right now, this is a guy, brand new guy. He was a mover for another moving company, right? So he knew about moving, and I was coaching him. This is his first month in. 1 for 1, that book sold him. 1 for 1. Everybody was getting postcards, but here's my stuff with a nice package in a bag that wasn't a postcard, right? You're gonna get about 90% of the people are gonna grab a postcard and do this, right? And just chuck it, right? Especially if your postcard looks like everybody else's postcard, which does, right? I just want to slap people about their postcards because they do postcards so stupidly. They say basically I could put 2 postcards together, right? And they're going to be the same ad, right? It's going to be the
I've
same
seen some lame ass postcards from my market, man.
What's that?
And when those postcards come, they really look like they really look like that cut from the same cloth, in my opinion.
Exactly.
Same size. Yeah.
Same size.
And they got the same
words,
information.
Same. Yep. Well, we're the best
except
movers
the phone
in Vegas.
Number.
We're the best.
Except the phone number, and except the colors are different.
Yeah. And we're the best movers in Vegas. Well, if everybody's the best mover in Vegas, then nobody's the best mover in Vegas, right? So that's why, when I asked you what your USP was, you know what I mean? What's the thing that sells you over your other guys? You can't say you're the best mover in Vegas because everybody's saying they're the best. And that's great. You should grab a title. You should own a title. If no one's giving you the title, take the title and make it your own. I totally 1% believe that. But if everybody's saying the same title, you can't, Muhammad Ali is the greatest of all time, right? He's the GOAT. Well, who else is better than Muhammad Ali? When you ask who's the best, heavyweight champion fighter, people are going to think Muhammad Ali. Well, if they're a little bit younger, they're going to probably say Mike Tyson. You know what I'm saying? Because and Mike Tyson doesn't have that great a record. George Foreman has a better record than he does, right? But nobody thinks George Foreman is the best fighter in the world, right? He's famous, people know him, but nobody thinks he's the best fighter in the world, right? So you got to own your title, and then you got to make sure other people know your title. But if everybody's saying the same title, then nobody is that title, right? So if your ad is the same as XYZ's company's ad or postcard, it's useless. So what do you got to sit yourself. So the next thing I did, we sold out of the 25 books that we handed out or mailed out, right? Like mailed out, right? We 100%, every single one of them booked with us, 100%. And it was just a thing. Now I didn't continue on. I did not continue on with the experiment with him because he decided he was going to go do his own thing. For one reason or another, I don't care. That's on him.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah. But it's thing. Here's what my strategy is going to be. So I know that my books work, right? So the more books I can have, the more books I can give out, right? So one group I was going to get the Save Money Moving book. Another group is going to get the Moving Facts book. Another group will get the 20 Questions book. And then I'm going to see which book gives me more influence, brings in more people, right? And then once I found that out, then I'll start using that book more often, right? And then I'm going to create a whole postcard campaign just around those books. So instead of saying, here's my moving company and we're the best movers in Vegas, I'm going to say, nope, save money moving. You can, and then I'll have a picture of my book that says save hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on your move right now with this simple book. 1 hour read, you know what I mean? And now I've got that book. If you're interested, on the back, there will be a QR code. You can scan the QR code or in a website. And that's all it's going to be. There's not going to be anything else. And then I'm going to let the book do all my selling for me. Right? right? So somebody will go, hey, I read your book, or I read this chapter in your book, because the book is written so that they don't have to read the entire book if they don't want to. They can just read a chapter or 2 chapters that pertain to them. Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
And each chapter has a call to action saying, give me a call. If you're interested, give me a call. So that's how I'm going to do. That's going to be my USP with my challenge, right? So will it work? I don't know. We're going to test it out. We're going to find out together. But that's the it's just really, I love some, there's a couple of guys, and I'm not going to name them names. You already know, and you already work with them. And they're great guys. They're great. They know SEO. They know artificial intelligence. And if I need their services, I'm definitely. But when it comes to marketing, they're not marketers. They're not. Their website isn't that. Their websites personally are not that great. They're not well designed. The user experience isn't great, and they're not doing anything. They're not doing the things that they advocate for you to do. So why would I use them? If they're not doing PPC, I'm not going to hire them to do PPC. Right? If they're not doing what? Go ahead.
Well, I've got a Sunday night football to go to in a moment, but I really appreciate you spending time with me today, Jay, and also to give me feedback about social media, because there's a lot of it I mean, we're all still learning stuff. If you're not, then you're probably dying. In my opinion, if you're not trying to expand, you're probably dying. So,
all right, man. Well, thank you very much for your time, Tony. I appreciate it. I really appreciate your time. We've been here for almost 2.5 hours now. Thank you so much for coming on.
okay.
And
yeah, it was fun. I truly appreciate it, and I look forward to this episode. Right.
Good. So if anybody's out there interested in talking to you or asking you questions, or heaven forbid somebody actually sees this video and wants to contact you about a move, how do we contact you?
Yeah, simply go to our social media at 87 movers, or give us a phone call. It's 702-996-1787, option number 1. Ask for Kathy or Tony, and we're gonna come up with the right game plan for you and your customers, or for helping out with logistics for your international move all the way up to Ethiopia or wherever we're going to.
Excellent. Thank you again, Tony. I appreciate it. Guys, if you do me a favor, if you like this video and I earned your subscription, please subscribe to the button using the button below. Hit the like button. Leave me a comment. Tell me what thing. If there was something in this video that Tony and I said that really resonated, tell me about it. If there's something you hated about us, let us know. Maybe my eyeglasses glared too much. You saw too much glare off my bald head, or whatever. I don't care. Just leave us a comment down below. Other than that, guys, I like you. I love you. Go and do something great today. Bye-bye.
All right. See ya.
Bye.